wndrsoul.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Wonder Soul. In this episode, you will be listening to a conversation that me and a good friend and collaborator, Kenny Mason of Ghost Planet Studios, he joins me as we talk about wrestling, we talk about content, we talk about, most importantly, the recent passing of Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball Z. We do eventually get to that, but we really geeked out about wrestling. This was the first time that I was able to sit down with Kenny and talk about wrestling. And it was a really good episode. I really had a blast sitting down and recording and talking and catching up with Kenny. Kenny and I have worked together on and off throughout the years. We met when on Twitter and that space when we were both starting out our podcast and stuff like that. And it's been a real pleasure. And honestly, I feel truly lucky to have had the opportunity to connect with him. And I'm glad things like Dragon Ball Z and wrestling and all these other things that you hear us talk about in each episode that we do together has brought us together. So it's really cool. I hope you guys enjoy this one. It's a little long, but I personally don't mind the long ones when I'm listening to podcasts. I know this might not be for everyone, but hopefully somewhere in this episode, you'll find things that you do like, that you do find interesting. And just wanted to say thank you, Kenny, for being on. And thank you guys for supporting and listening to Wonder Soul, whether you're listening to the podcast or if you're supporting on YouTube as well. Appreciate you guys, and stay tuned for more episodes. Like I said, I'm trying to get these out every week, once a week, aiming for Wednesday. We'll see what we could do. But I'm having a lot of fun getting people on and having guests on and friends and other people that I know are just as passionate, if not more, about some of the topics and things that, you hear me talk about here on Wonder Soul. So with all that being said, here is the conversation that me and Kenny had about the WWE and Dragon Ball Z. Enjoy.
Yeah, but he's a heel, so that just works.
It worked out perfect. But then he also has that Prime stuff going, and then the WWE's like saying, he's basically going like, you guys are gonna just show this stuff off, like. And my girlfriend's a teacher, dude. Like, she tells me these kids are drinking Prime.
Yeah.
It's
dude.
crazy how someone can just do that many different things and have success. And you have some people that are like, yo, I'm trying to scratch that one thing. But, I got to say, I respect what he's doing out there because he's having fun and he's doing good. And
I can't disrespect him in the ring either.
Yeah.
He is the best celebrity wrestler since David Arquette in WCW from the fucking 90s.
Jeez.
Who people forget, but David Arquette, or maybe they just don't know. David Arquette, after he won a title in WCW in the 90s, actually got a little serious about wrestling and started wrestling on the indies. Wow. People don't know that. So today I'm talking about he's had a match in like the last 4 years.
Really? For the last 4 years? Wow.
In the last 4 years. And going back to one of the reasons, not one of the reasons I like Cody. Let me stop right there. It's something I know about Cody because I've followed him for so long. You know Arrow, CW Arrow?
Yeah.
Okay,
DC.
Stephen Amell. Yeah, Stephen Amell, who is Arrow in that show, is a really good wrestler as well, actually.
Wasn't he in some kind of movie or TV show?
Yes, he was in, I forget the name of it. It was called like Real Heels or something like that.
And his brother was in it too, right?
Right, him and his brother were in that. And not only that, but he had a whole feud with Cody when Cody was doing the Stardust gimmick in like 2015.
No way.
They wrestled like 2 or 3 matches.
Oh, I gotta watch that. I gotta check those out.
Definitely.
Back. Oh,
because
yeah,
Cody has made Stardust. He doesn't like Stardust. He didn't like being Stardust. But he has folded that into his lore to where it's something he overcame. So it's totally
crazy.
Valid.
He brought it up this week. I mean, he
does.
He literally was like getting emotional and just talking about the story and what that really means.
I saw that.
It was really cool. But like, dude, on WWE 2K24, like when you pre-order the digital edition, which is what I did, you get the Nightmare Family Pack, and it comes with Dusty Rhodes.
You get Dusty, and do you get Goldust too?
You get Goldust.
That's fucking great, dude.
It's
Goldust
crazy.
is underrated.
I gotta look back because it's Definitely a weird transition to see the Cody Rhodes today and go, that's what he did.
Oh
but
yeah.
but you see it. You
And
see
back
the
in like 2012,
transformations.
you do. You see the whole trend that, and I'll tell you, I mean, I didn't always think he was as cool as he is now. He wasn't always this cool. I just knew who the fuck he was.
Yeah.
Like back in the day when he was teaming with like a young Randy Orton, when he was dashing Cody Rhodes, and his whole gimmick was, "Hey, I have a mustache." I remember those days, like when he was just literally a fucking nobody, when he was in a jobber. And that's another thing about me and wrestling. We can definitely milk a show out of this.
Oh yeah, I would
Because
love to.
yeah,
That would be
I'm
amazing.
nerdy enough, and I've been in a couple wrestling podcasts, so I know all the like stupid backstage jargon.
Yeah.
Like heels, faces, bump, ref bump,
Yeah.
go home. I know all that stupid shit.
I'm still learning, man. I'm still learning, and I think that's why I've done probably over 20 my GM modes in 2K24 recently, because I'm like literally learning how this industry and this sports entertainment works. Like, what is, the different types of fighters, types of matches, and like how these stories are designed to play out. And like it's been such a cool experience, man. I don't know when's the last time something that has always been like on your radar or you're aware of it just didn't hit you, and then all of a sudden it just clicks, and then you're like, oh shit, not only am I into this thing, there's like a plethora of content, and there's so much history, and there's so many things that you can get into and look forward to. And that's why they know they know what they're doing, man.
Well, I'll tell you, you could not have picked a better time.
Right?
There is a reason that I was a lapsed fan of WWE for so long.
What does that mean? Like, what you just, because I know people have stuck it out through some tough times, and the product today is, I was about to say, it's been bad, and it's been really good too. So
there have been highs and lows. I have, when I tell you, I have suffered. Like literally, as I sit here and think about some of the shit I sat through out of pure, I'm just that way. I'm weirdly loyal to lots of little things, and wrestling was one of those things for a long time. I just watched it because my whole family had always watched it. My granddad would be quick to tell you about when he got to go up to Charlotte as a North Carolina native and see Ric Flair fight Dusty Rhodes for the championship, and how Rick ran around the ring and wouldn't give it to Dusty when he lost. He'll love to tell you that story. He loves it. My dad got to go see, I think he saw Warrior Hogan in person.
What?
And I don't have anything that cool, but out of kind of a shared love for it, like me and my cousin grew up really loving WWE, and that was during the early 2000s Attitude Era, like everyone else, And when we started living together, me, my cousin, my granddad, and his wife, from like 2006 to like 2008 or so, we watched a shit ton of WWE. That was like Shawn Michaels' last big run. That was when John Cena was first starting to become someone worth knowing who the hell that was. And we watched all through that. And I just kept up with it well until like 2016, 2017. Like I'm all that time. And then I finally went, I can't, I've had all I can stands. I can't stands no more. And it's because, dude, and that's why I say you got into it at the right time. Vince was writing all of the, we call it creative. Vince was writing all the creative for every fucking body. And he was just so old that all his storylines were shit. And we would hear behind the scenes, these things called dirt sheets. And there are people in that space like Dave Meltzer, Brian Alvarez, Solomonster, these people who've been reporting on wrestling for like 20 fucking years. And you would go to them after the show to get the backstage secrets and who said what. Oh, this guy lost because he shat on the craft services last week. You get all that stuff from these guys. And I followed them long enough to just know that the reason the show sucked was because Vince McMahon was rewriting it before the show started every fucking week. Some people, you wouldn't see some of your favorite wrestlers for weeks at a time. And literally the reason would be he forgot they were on the fucking payroll.
Jeez.
You would see people, go ahead.
Well, when did Triple H take over?
Oh God, that is the golden question. So Triple H was... Following his path through WWE is interesting because when he married Stephanie, that was a fucking genius move, man. Master stroke there, because that ingratiated him to Vince very early. And I'm talking about like mid 2000s. Vince was already in Goodwin Hunter, because Triple H was the cleanest one of the group that pretty much ran backstage around then. They were called the Clique, which was him, Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, and Kevin Nash. They all sort of ran the WWE because they were the biggest players at the moment, and Vince listened to just about everything they asked him. And he survived through that, endured some punishments when everybody left but him, got close to Vince, and eventually got put in charge of like writing some stuff here, writing some stuff there, sitting in the production van here, and he just grinded it out until he got put in charge of NXT. And I'm mourning for NXT because it's completely different now. But when Triple H was running it, it was the best wrestling show on TV.
Really?
Yes. During the years, WWE was pretty shit, man. And I'm talking about Raw and SmackDown were just toilet water shows. Just terrible fucking shows. And I don't exaggerate that because I'd watch them for 3 hours each and do a podcast on them. So I was taking notes and shit. Dude, they were bad. And it was Vince's fault. Great wrestlers, bad creative. But Triple H was killing it with NXT back then. I remember the same guy you saw fight Cody, Shinsuke Nakamura. His first match in the US was with Sami Zayn. Fucking at an NXT. And God, you got to look up this. It was such a good match. I got my girlfriend at the time into wrestling with this match. Really? Because it was Shinsuke's first match in the States, and it was Sami's last match before he went up to Raw and SmackDown.
Wow.
And he was the heart of that brand, dude.
Oh, that's really cool because, I mean, they've been fighting a lot lately. They fought the other night in their gauntlet match, which was really good. It was really good. It was, you know, it's wild. Like NXT, I had to have someone explain to me like, oh, it's AEW, just a competitor. And then NXT is like the minor leagues for wrestling for the WWE. And so like I've been staying clear from NXT until after WrestleMania because I'm like, hey, let me just like focus on SmackDown.
That's a good idea.
And Raw.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, is that I thought like, yo, because you can get over like right now NXT is on tonight as we record. I'm like, all right, I can only get my girlfriend to watch like twice a week. Like then I get,
NXT is pretty deep in the weeds.
Yeah.
Once you are both going, oh shit, wrestling's on tonight, then you're at the point where you maybe will want to watch an NXT. Yeah, definitely. And I'm just tell you, as someone who was a big fan of AEW for like its first 2 or 3 years, that fed is in the shitter, and they just did a really dumb thing this week. One of the dumbest things I've ever seen. And it's just kind of sad. AEW makes me sad.
What they do? I know they just did the Sting thing where he retired.
They did, and that was great. That was a great match. He got his sons involved. That was a really good match.
His tag partner's wild, bro.
Darby Allin? Yeah, Darby's the real
deal. What the fuck was he thinking jumping off of that ladder into that class?
Darby is a modern day fucking Nick Foley. He's a modern day Edge. He's a modern day Sting. He's that guy.
Wow.
Like he is a ECW style. Like he is today what CM Punk was during the years no one really knew who Punk was.
Wow.
Punk was diving back first on the thumbtacks and shit in like 2007. We just didn't know who he was yet.
Yeah. I've seen pictures of him. I'm like, yo, man, this man had hair. You know, like he was. Yeah, he definitely looked different. I forget how. You know, and it's so wild. He's not even active right now because he got hurt. But like, he's still like top 3 in merch sales right now.
Oh yeah, dude.
It's wild the following that man's had. He has. Like I watched when he came back. I watched that video a good bit. I like to watch people's reactions to things like that. I was like, yo, I want to see what people, were watching that event.
Oh, me too.
What was it? It was War Games or something. I think it was War Games. He comes back at the very end. And it's like, wow.
And Seth Rollins is like cussing him out, trying to, and everything.
Yeah. I love Seth, dude. I love Seth. And
You're
Drew
Seth
McIntyre.
fan?
I like Seth right now. I kind of like what's going on. It's kind of like the Cody Vengers is happening. And I'm like,
that is happening.
Isn't it? Happening. Doesn't it feel like he's going to be like everyone who the bloodline fucked over is like going to help?
It does. And that is part and parcel of why Triple H is where he is. Eventually, he did so well with NXT. Vince decided to put him, I believe, in charge of talent relations so he could start overseeing the people coming into the quote-unquote big leagues who was doing what, etc. And for years, we all knew that there are two types of fans generally when you start getting real deep into this bullshit. There's marks, which are all of us. We're all fucking marks.
Okay.
And that comes from old carny talk where back in the day, you'd walk into a carnival and one of the barkers would wipe his hand in chalk if you looked like a rube, and he'd slap you on the back with it so that everyone else would know, oh, this guy's going to play the fish mini game. This guy's going to throw the bottles or throw the baseball at the glass. Right, you were a mark. And so that's where that comes from. You're a mark for the product. You like wrestling, and it's more than a casual thing for you. Now, a smart mark is a mark who's wise to the business. He knows certain guys go over for different reasons. He knows when a guy probably won't win on a pay-per-view because backstage he shat on craft services, or, like I said earlier, like a smart mark is hip to the business. So us smart marks knew for a long time that Triple H was hovering around getting to be over all of the creative period. And he'd done so good with NXT that for years, and I'm talking like 5, 6, 7 years, the internet was just like, the day Hunter gets to control the stories in this company, it'll be a golden age. The day Vince leaves, but he'll never leave. He'll fucking die running that company. And then all the shit started to break, and Vince had to leave. And then TKO bought them, and now all this other stuff came out about Vince, and they're scrubbing him from everything. He'll never be back.
Yeah.
Wow. TKO has issued a statement that neither he nor Stephanie will ever be back, because there's solid evidence that Stephanie was well aware of the shit that Vince was doing.
Yeah.
Even down to the dates that he would come back and she would leave. It seems like she knew something. So none of them are coming back. And lo and behold, now that Triple H is riding the creative, dude, wrestling is better than it has been in like 20 years of me watching it. This is the perfect time for you to be watching. Triple H is killing it on Raw and SmackDown. Everyone has storylines that are interesting. Fucking Dominic Mysterio is killing it as an Eddie Guerrero heel. And God, he was the shits under Vince, dude. Like, it is a night and day difference with Triple H riding this show. You picked the perfect time to start watching WWE because it's popular again.
Oh yeah, but that goes with something you were kind of alluding to, is like you got all this negative and bad stuff going on, yet they've been able to like go, hey, yeah, we're not trying to like cover that up so much, like that's getting dealt with, it's a part of this, whatever, but we are this other thing, and we are going to like protect the things that are good about this industry and what's good about this, like, this sports entertainment and everything, and just like keep moving forward, and we're going to try to put out the best product out there. And
because it's finally fucking good, like it's really good,
and it's free from some of the stuff that was making it bad.
Exactly. A lot of stuff has been cut out. They fucking, like, the roster is stacked right now,
but
and
it's
for
also
the first time.
Well, no, I'm sorry. Like, it's just like, it's interesting. Like, the guys that were part of that era are coming back to help it move forward too.
Right. But what they had a problem with so long is, this goes down to like the ratings. This is back when I kept track of what, like, at the moment I know what AEW's ratings are, and I won't get into that, but they're not doing too hot. Anyway, WWE used to have a real problem once they added the third hour to Raw with getting people to stick past that second hour. People were fucking gone, man. And it's because that shit was too bad for too long. Now, they're thinking about going back down to 2 hours, and everyone's begging them not to do it because it's night and fucking day. I mean, they had a problem making new stars that you wanted to see. They were relying so much on bringing back The Rock, on bringing back fucking Big Show again, damn it. And all the Rey Mysterio's never fucking left. He's just in and out.
Yeah, he was back a couple weeks ago.
Right, and I mean, that's fine now because they have other cool people. Like, the fact that all these other people are so over, the fact that Seth is as well liked as he is, Cody is this huge baby face now, that's fucking amazing. Roman Reigns is actually doing a crazy good job as the bad guy tribal chief when we couldn't stop booing him 5 years ago. I fucking hated Roman Reigns 5 years ago.
I feel like Roman's kind of gotten pushed to the side. I feel like this has become a very much, He just is the bad guy that holds the belt and laughs and goes,
oh, you're right. It has become
he's the Thanos kind of like they're kind of like setting him up to be he will have his moments, but right now he just doesn't even think about you. Like he's been champion for so long, he's like whatever.
He's had that title for 3 fucking years. That's a really
crazy.
Long time. That's a really long time.
But that's also what feels really cool about this moment, dude, is because there's a lot of things that have been built up for a very, very long time, and there's some payoff right around the corner. Because Gunther, who's like
the Ring General.
Yo, dude, it's just like all these people have been on top for a minute. I mean, Rhea.
That's what I mean. All of these names. If you would have asked me 6 years ago who half of these people were, most of the people, if they were in the company, were fucking nobody. And it wasn't their fault. They were being put in the mid card fighting for the IC belt. And if they got it, they'd hold it for 2 fucking weeks. They were nobody. But once Triple H got behind the creative and was able to build people up through storylines, now all of these people are cool. Gunther, he's a cool fucking character. He's a good bad guy, dude. Chad Gable, he's fucking Kurt Angle 2.0.
He really is, dude.
He is. He's so good.
I thought he was going to win last night. I thought they were setting that up.
I thought so too, dude. But
I like Sammy, though.
I like Sammy too.
It was cool at the end. He's like, get up, shake, hey, man.
Yeah.
They were
Chad
cool.
will get his. I'm sure Chad will be next in line because I think Sammy's going over Gunther.
I don't think so. I think they're going to keep him so when they go to all these European dates, he's out there defending that title.
See that,
and Sammy, like you give him that moment, but I think Chad is kind of getting a Cody where he's like, we're building you up, dude. Like your Infinity War, like you lost, but this is going to pay off. It'll be more satisfying later.
And I'll tell you what, the fact that guys this far down the card have actual interesting storylines is literally that just was not a thing that was happening.
Right.
Fucking R-Truth is in a good story right now.
He's having fun. He fought Damian Priest the other night. He came out rapping, and he's just like, he's how old? He's like 55 or something.
He is like 56, yes, and he is flipping off his shit like he's a fucking teenager.
He's so
all of these people, they've done such a good job. Dominic, Damian Priest. It was literally like used to be a jobber. Like he used to be in like 3MB, which was a jobber just means you exist to take pinfall. You're not here to win. You're what they call enhancement talent. You make other people look good by losing.
Damn.
Damian Priest used to be in a group that was exclusively enhancement talent.
Yeah.
They existed to lose. Now I like him a lot. He said he talks in Spanish sometimes. I like his kind of I like his sense of style.
Judgment Day is pretty cool. I mean, they got a good.
Judgment Day is pretty cool.
I mean, I think 3. No, I would say me personally 3 out of like the main 5 are like really popular. And
sure.
And that's just because you got Rhea and Dom. They're always together, especially
Rhea
here as of recently, especially with Perth, Australia, and Rhea fighting. And that being like the whole like her home country and stuff. Dude,
I'm not gonna lie. Rhea's my current like real celebrity crush. She's
here,
crazy
man.
Gorgeous.
But I kind of also want to bring up that not only is just wrestling as a whole, but for it to be good as a whole, that means that you need to have both male and female good wrestling stories and wrestlers. And the females right now are killing it, dog. Yeah.
Bianca Belair, fucking Bailey. Fucking Becky, come on.
Becky Lynch. I saw Becky Lynch. Yeah.
Becky, you saw Becky? That's cool.
Becky came out. It was her, and they had damage. I think they were fighting the Damage Control. Like it was like I kind of remembered some of these people from their theme music and them coming out. I was like, oh, I really like this song. Like I like Becky's theme and shit. So
Becky's great, dude. And her, you know how in X-Men, Jean Grey and Scott have a kid, and I think they have 2 canon kids, and they're both crazy powerful. One is Cable, and the other is fucking X-Man, who has been in like a handful of. Both of them are crazy powerful mutants. Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch's kid is going to be that shit.
Yeah, it's definitely possible, man. I'm just like, and I know like we weren't really gonna get into wrestling so much this episode and stuff,
dude. At this point, I didn't know you were coming in as sort of a new fan.
Yeah.
because that puts us on different. I'm literally a jaded fan who's come back to the product, and you're
Oh,
someone
okay.
getting into the product.
Yeah,
That's a
man.
recipe for some interesting fucking
I
conversations
I
right
love
there.
it, man. I'm learning. I watched this documentary on Netflix called Wrestlers, and that really helped too. That was really cool. It was about was it OVW, the Ohio Valley Wrestling?
OVW, Ohio
Yeah,
Valley Wrestling.
it was
Yep, yep,
so
yep.
cool, and it gave me such a better understanding about how that business is ran, and just
Yeah,
like just how that kind of industry works, for the most part. But with that being
sure.
said, um. I I wanted to ask you as far as like the story and the creative that comes from wrestling, being a wrestling fan. Like, do you
Yeah.
think any of that kind of inspired you with any of the stuff you've ever done?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, not in, it's not like I ever took anything directly from
right.
wrestling,
Of course, of course.
but there are definitely things here and there, maybe little twists they pulled in a story where I saw that, hey, everyone, because at this point I've done a good bit of writing. I just got through putting together a big collection of like 7 or 8 big long ass Ghost Planet stories, so new fans could find them more easily, and a lot of maybe smaller tonal things I've taken, like the way everyone reacted when a certain character came back at a certain moment. And it blew the lid off the place, and people were just so happy to see this. Like when CM Punk returned at War Games, it was the perfect time for him to walk out there. It was Chicago. Everyone thought maybe they'd got him back. Rollins had an explosive reaction, so that added to it. It was a moment.
And it was at the
And
very, very end, wasn't
the
it?
very end, the very end, they had Chicago by the balls. I'm telling you, because
The
the dirt
pop,
sheets,
dude. The
yes,
pop
because
was
the dirt sheets from the moment Punk left AEW, the dirt sheets were like, listen, WWE isn't going to want this guy, especially considering what just happened in
and he had talked
AEW.
shit. He was pretty open about,
Right. He was
his
literally, that's the
experience.
reason.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the reason he wore that he's worn shirts that say hell froze over.
What?
Because with Punk, I was there the night he did the promo that made him the household name. I was watching live that night with my friend Rich. Fucking, that was an incredible night. That man walked out there in like 2012, sat down while John Cena was crumpled up in a table and called that company dog shit. And he pointed out all the reasons why it was dog shit,
What?
why
Like
why
off the
he was
script? Like just
no one knew. No one knows. No one ever found out. Was it all scripted? Was some of it scripted? No one know. He blurred the line between, okay, so there's two things. There's a work and there's a shoot. In the same way, there are marks and smart marks. A work is something the company is doing to sell you. Will Roman Reigns lose at WrestleMania? If you believe Cody will win because he has to finish his story, that's called believing in the work. That's a work. A shoot is when shit is for real. I'll give you a prime example. At one point, Stone Cold Steve Austin was wrestling Big Show, and Stone Cold stole the story. He says, "I wanted to fire Paul up, so I started smacking him with a couple big ass right hands as hard as I could, hauling him across the face. Bow, 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 bow." And Big Show was notorious for fucking you up if you got too hard with him. And so he grabbed me, and he didn't give me no choice. He put me in a corner. He put that big ass hand back, and he slapped me across the chest with it so hard I about swallowed my gum. And I was so scared, all I could say was, "There's your fire, kid." And I was begging him to let me go, and they call it a receipt. When you fuck somebody up for real during the course of a work, they owe you a receipt. So fucking CM Punk came out and blurred the line between work and shoot. Because it's not like he was saying, "Oh, this company sucks and I should be the best because I am the best." No, he was saying that this company sucks because Vince McMahon runs it. And I want to have hope. This is a quote. "I want to be hopeful for the future, but the truth is, even if he dies, it's going to be taken over by his doofus son-in-law and his
oh
stupid
my
daughter and the rest of
god.
his dumbass family." This is the shit he was saying.
Oh
And I
my
was telling my friend,
god.
I was like, "You don't understand what's happening right now. There's never been a promo like this. You don't." He was like, "What's the big deal?" I'm like, "You don't understand, dude. He's talking like meta level shit."
And
And
then
so yeah,
oh, well, like it's so funny. Like I've never heard that, and I cannot wait to listen to that, watch that, try to find that because it
find
goes
it
back
my
to.
ass. I'm gonna link you the
Oh
Python
yeah,
promo right now.
please
You can
do.
look at it later.
Yeah, please do. But for me, what he did was when he was talking to Cody. And he's like, let me tell you how this plays out. Like, you win the Royal Rumble, you got your WrestleMania, and then all of a sudden, a fucking old ass star comes back and takes it all away. And that's exactly what happened. Because I guess did something similar happen to Punk?
Yeah, exactly. One of the quotes from that promo is what was the exact quote? Because it burned into my memory because it was out of nowhere. Just like him coming back, it was a normal shitty episode of Raw, and then Punk came back and started talking some grade A meta shit. And one of the lines was,
send that to me on Discord, man.
I'm doing it. I got it right in front of me. Hang on.
Sweet.
Copy it. There we go.
Let me see what this is. Oh my gosh. Do you know how long it is?
It's like fucking 5 minutes or something like that. Like, but that promo is what made CM Punk a household name, and he's the reason why some fans like me, for a while there, we're desperate for him to come back. But in my stuff, moments like this pipe bomb, moments like Punk coming back at the right moment, or Cena coming back at a Rumble because he's been gone long enough, that did teach me some things. Because at this point, there are a ton of characters that everyone who reads the stories knows about. And because all of this stuff is like 30 pages long, and that sometimes they'll react to individual written pages, I get to see what notes of the story played well with who. Like in that last big story I put out, Blue Harvest, which is got over like 1,000 reacts now. So a shit ton of people read that. A fantastic response on that story. Best written thing as far as reception that I've ever put out on the platform.
Man, that's so fucking cool to hear, dude.
Yeah, finally, right? All these years talking about all this lore shit. And now awesome. People are just reading e-novels of it straight up.
Sweet. Hey, man.
But the guy who did the pages that were the best was this samurai named Suto Raizen. His pages and the pages of the people he fought did overwhelmingly better than every other page of the story. And as a direct response to that, in almost a wrestling sense, I'm like, okay, so in terms of most over characters with my fans, Suto Raizen's at the top. He's over as shit. Everyone liked his chapter. And after that is Newton Nova. Frost, who's the main character, is like number 3. That's okay. I can work with that because all these guys have solo stories coming out. But I need to adjust like who appears in what, whose story does what. And for the big thing I'm writing, Neon Carbon, I've given Suto a much bigger role because of how over he is. So yeah, not directly in terms of like a plot point, but different things about how wrestling works and how we fans work with it definitely inspire how I move.
Well, that's really cool to hear because I also respect when it comes to like the wrestling, like creative. Like I'm gonna start saying it like that. Like there is a storytelling, but like it's so. Look, for them to pivot and be able to like take in a lot of the grounded real stuff. People get hurt, people get in legal problems, things happen, family emergencies, pregnancies, things, I don't know, just anything can happen. You know, these are real people living their real lives. And like you said, sometimes sometimes the lines can get blurred. And it's also, I wonder if it's something that you've thought about as far as like if everything that you're writing currently with Ghost Planet in your platform, if it's predetermined so much, or if you will kind of gauge some of the feedback as far as like, you know, maybe I need to lean into this more, or maybe, you know, maybe people didn't respond a certain way to a certain character or certain story, so you're like, okay, well, let's pull back from that. And like, are you at a pivot mode still creatively in writing? Because that's something I really respect out of this. Because look, CM Punk got hurt, bro. Like they were setting him up for some stuff. And they really were. And then Brock Lesnar and all that stuff, they're like erased him. Like so
they're bringing him back. They're bringing him back. But yes, they are, because his lawyer, as far as I understand, has cleared him of wrongdoing.
Okay.
Because he's being put back in WWE 2K24. I just saw screens of him like earlier this week. Well, yesterday. It's Tuesday. But I just saw screens of him in the game. They're adding him back. His name is
Okay,
coming
cool.
back. But it sounded like he was named in that lawsuit for a second there.
Yeah, I did. So yeah, but you know, it's just like that's wild. They must have had plans for certain things, and then these other outside factors play a huge role in like the direction of like the storytelling and creative endeavors. So like, have you taken that approach, you know, with what you're putting out there? Is that cross your mind as far as
Absolutely.
like, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. It has to at this point because I've been very fortunate. The one thing I'm telling everybody now is like, dude, start a fucking platform, and even if all you share is memes, fucking fake it until you make it.
Yeah.
Share those memes until you have enough people, and then shove whatever the fuck else you want to do down their throats. That works. That worked for me. It's working for other people. I'm seeing tons of other page owners once they crack like 50K or something. They're like, guys, I also crochet. And guess what? Those crochet posts pop the fuck off. Because at that point, their fans are invested. Same way with my readers. I have a readership now, and it's just because I stuck with that shit and started putting it out for them. But yeah, I have to be attentive to what they like and what they don't like. There's only been one story where I felt like people didn't enjoy that, and I had to really dig into the why of it. It was a story called what was the title? It starred two characters, one named Red Alone and one named Iron Maiden from a previous story. And it was sort of a one-shot adventure of theirs. It was very Watchmen inspired. It was meant to be darker because I want the setting to be able to go from lighthearted to dark and back again based on who the story's about and what that story is doing. I think like DC and Marvel, you need to be able to go to these places, and I want to be able to go there. So I'm trying to establish the universe as something flexible like that. And my first foray into that darker side of the setting didn't go all that great. And it's not that it got a pretty good reaction. It was noticeably small. It was like a couple hundred people liked it, which is noticeably smaller than like Blue Harvest, which if I didn't pull it down to make way for other things, would be still going. It'd be at like 1,300 reacts, or all positive, by the way. 1,300 reacts, 300 or 400 shares. It'd be at like that right now.
Very nice.
And the reasons are like, I realized there was a lot of killing in that story. God, I can't remember the fucking name of it. But there was, I'll pull it up as we talk, but there was a lot of killing in that story. And even though I established that in that time period, in that story, the law as it was established, the officers who enforced it were working with the Empire. They were not good people. They were traitors in the eyes of the main character, and he killed them pretty indiscriminately. He was tossing them off buildings. And I focused so much on making Red Alone, this character who people liked from another story, this cool badass in this basically impenetrable futuristic suit of armor. He's got a grappling hook. He's whizzing around. Blaster bolts are bouncing off of him. He's like Darth Vader and Jason Voorhees combined. That part of it did very well. But all of the killing of the people listed as officers was not something people enjoyed.
Yeah.
And there was so much of that I feel like it turned off a lot of my main readership. So as much as I like that story, as much as I like the characters from it, now I kind of gotta watch what I do with them if they're going to be involved. And one of them is. But yeah, I had to sort of be able to pivot, because with let me put it like this. It would be a disaster to me if I put out a big main story and it didn't do well. Because it's so much fucking work, man. Like, Blue Harvest was a huge, like, I could probably shop Blue Harvest as a film script. Would anyone pick it up? I don't fucking know, Lucas. But it's big enough that I could do that. And it's got all the rising action, falling action, and the climax and all that shit. It's got everything you need. Tons of comments on it are asking me to animate it or put it in a comic or something. So it's probably the strongest story the platform has. If that came out and it was crickets, that'd be a disaster to me. So I had to look at the way each story performed, who liked what from what story, what it went, because I got a 32% female audience. And I need to know what they like or don't like. If I'm writing female characters, I need those to work for the women. And if they aren't interacting with the pages the women are focused or featured on, I got to take something from that. I got to do better next time. So yeah, I am in a pivot stage. I'm at the stage where there is a big enough readership and I have access to enough people, because we're about to hit 93,000 tonight probably. And then it's a hop, skip, and a jump to 100K, which in Facebook terms is the big leagues. You're considered a big boy once you've got 100K people. I got to be careful with it, man. It's like a big ass shit, you know? And yeah. I can't just freewheel this thing. Every movement has to be very precise.
Well, so
yes, that's the question.
Well, I mean, but do you have like things that you're like, look, people might not react well at first, but like this is where at the end point is here. I have this idea of where it's going to go. How we get there, a little bit flexible. Is there anything like that for you as far as your storytelling in that way, where you have a couple things where you're like, yo, this is where I'm going, but how we get there will definitely, vary from like responses and stuff like that?
A little bit. It's like 50-50.
Yeah.
Because a lot of what I got from Blue Harvest, for example, that's the best story, the biggest that we've had. And luckily for me, people started reacting to each page of that big ass story, which is how I know Suto Raisen is the most over character in the whole damn setting. Because people fucking were sharing literally it was the most annoying thing in the world. They were sharing just his pages for not the whole time. But when that started, I was like, guys, you're sharing like page 27. What the fuck? There's an order to this. They're all numbered on the bottom. Why are you breaking them up? But it told me what I needed to know.
Yeah. It's useful data, man. I mean,
Absolutely.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is like with any creative work, man, you're doing it for other people, for sure. Like you want people to enjoy what you're doing and to get something out of it. But you almost want to have this selfish approach to like, this is what I enjoy and this is what I want. It would just be really nice if I can put this out there into the world and people respond.
I'll be honest with you, I don't have that. It's somewhere along the line, and it's funny you tie it into wrestling, because actually, yeah, it's a lot like the way wrestling runs things. I sort of developed that by osmosis. I didn't even really mean to. But being able to move and flow with your crowd, whoever that is, when you're doing something like what I'm doing, and I'm not the only creator doing this. I see some other creators now realize that they too, if they write, I know a great page called Liminal Void Girlfriend, and she got a big audience posting AI images with meme writing on them of her in like abandoned tunnels. Really quirky sounding shit, right? But there was an audience for that, for cute girls hanging out in abandoned places, which is basically what her content is. And after she got enough people, she just went, hey guys, I also used to, and I used to know a guy who did this. She's like, I tour abandoned buildings, or I used to, and I did amateur photography of those. Do you want to see? And at this point, they were invested in her. So they said, fuck yeah, show them. And now that is probably some of her most successful content. And it took a long... Yeah, for sure. It's lovely to see that happen.
Yeah.
And at this point, because I think it's been a year, maybe 2 years since we started putting out all these big stories, there is a solid reader base of people I see all the time. And if they like one story but they don't like another one, I gotta figure out why that is. And so now there is a plan, actually, a pretty concrete one. But as far as what happens in each step of that plan, I am like wrestling flexible. You might think of it as being prepared for a character to get injured or something like that.
Well, dude, I mean, that's just really interesting to get, your personal experience from something that I'm just getting into, and how much of a creative endeavor it is and how it does influence and inspire us in different ways. I mean, it has that kind of impact. Like there are build up, there are moments, you are following a story, and there are characters, and there are goals, and there are, like, you know, bad guys, good guys, whatever. It's been really a joy to follow week to week, and
yeah, absolutely.
It's just been really fun for me. It's been a while. I think the last time I really got heavy into something would be like when I was talking to you earlier about just like something hitting at the right time. Like the first couple months of this year have been pretty stressful, dude. And I don't know, like I went to that show in the last days of January, and something hit, man. And I've just got nothing but, you know, good things out of it. I've enjoyed it. It's been a really nice time to get into it. And I've been enjoying expanding my knowledge and going through the history and checking out all the things that are out there that are available for, you know, wrestling fans and things of that, you know. But, you know, but it also kind of made me realize, like, yeah, it's funny how this has always been a thing. Like you're always going to be aware of certain things, like especially when we're talking about wrestling. I mean, think of The Rock, think of John Cena, think of Dave Bautista, and all these people. Like they've just been so crucial to pop culture and just impactful in the entertainment industry and everything. So like like even if you don't follow wrestling, you know about wrestling, you still know about these things. And when I go back and watch some of these old WrestleManias and things like that, and I see the crowds, and like lately it's been nothing but sold out shows. I think last night's Raw was like the 6th in a row, and I'm like, wow, this is fucking incredible.
WWE's product is red hot right now.
It's red hot, and it's only gonna get hotter, dude. Like they're booming, and but you know, it's been really fun, man. But I don't know how I'm going to.
I enjoy it. I'm jealous.
Well, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Like, this is why it's fun, man. I'm wishing, like, to be honest, like when you talked about CM Punk in one of your episodes, I wasn't into wrestling at the time, but you still had a way to talk about it, explain it, and I could tell that you were passionate about the topic, so that, you know, it made someone like me who didn't at the time give a fuck about wrestling go, this is pretty interesting. This is kind of cool.
I'm sure fucking glad to hear that. Listen, while I was doing it, I was like, oh my God, they're going to hate this so fucking
man. No, I feel, me personally, man, if somebody is passionate about something, you can tell. And it's just like a contagious energy, dude. It
is. And I hope that would carry, because my fans, they just do not like that.
Well, you never know, man. You never know.
I've tried. Most of my fans are very kind of normie. Dare I say it?
Does Ghost Planet have its own WWE? Like, does it have that kind of, like, what are the sports in your universe?
Yeah, for sure. There's Atomic Comet Wrestling, which is actually...
Wait, say that again?
Atomic Comet Wrestling.
That's a fucking cool name.
I've never got into this. I was gonna... This is... I mean, there's at this point, it'll end up in a story somewhere. It's been 6 years, man. There's so much shit written in places. Like I at some point, one of these fucking companies, if it takes me 15 years, is gonna walk up to me like they did to Rooster Teeth and be like, "Hey, you got fans. They kind of like your shit. You want to make a show?" Because I'm like, I have binders full. Let's do 5 seasons, baby. So I'm ready. And I was gonna do an episode of an old show from a place called Star Station Helios, which is Ghost Planet doesn't have a moon, but it is orbited by a space station called Helios, and it's meant to be like a resort, an off-planet resort. It's actually named after one of our first 10 Twitter fans. Have no idea where they went years ago. But I did a super early contest that was like, the fucking winner, I'll name this literal core space station, the closest thing the planet has to a moon. I'll name it after them. And it was some guy named Helios, and that's why it's named that.
Yeah, that's a cool name.
Yeah, for sure. It worked out. The same thing for...
Could have been a lot worse. Could have
been a lot worse, dude. It's like Frost drives a car, like a red hover Corvette called a Kritsu Cruiser, and that too is named after an old fan named Kritsu, who's like one of our first 30 fans.
Well, that's cool. I like these little nuggets. These little
with their
nuggets.
permission, everything. Yeah. But on Star Station Helios, one of the main, as they call it, attractions is that there is a a comet that got caught in the orbital sphere of GP and just orbits sort of like one of Saturn's rings, but not as many rocks. And on that is a large coliseum where they hold atomic comet wrestling. And routinely, I think maybe once each hour or something like that, the comet will roll past Helios and you can port over to it and watch one of the shows. And I was going to do a whole segment on wrestling from there. But people will get there. They'll definitely get there and do some wrestling stuff.
But what does wrestling look like in Ghost Planet?
On GP, it's probably going to be a blend of several indie federations that it's going to be like my dream team wrestling fed. Okay, like cool. Atomic Comet Wrestling will probably be like 90s WWE.
Are there robots? Like, is it like a blur of science fiction?
Sure, there'll definitely be droid wrestlers for sure. The referee will be a droid. And some of this stuff is written and some of it's kind of open for me to develop when the time comes.
Why do I think of that Hugh Jackman movie that...
That. Well, you know what it's more like, honestly? It's most like, if you remember Dexter's Lab. It is most like the episode where Rasslor came and Monkey went there with all of the Justice Friends. It is most like that.
They were doing a spoof on, what was it? Was it Secret Wars? No,
it wasn't Secret Wars. It was one of the big crossover events. Though,
yeah. When everyone got teleported to this like
War World or something like that. Because there was an episode of Justice League where that very thing happened.
Yeah,
and one of the Marvel Thor Ragnarok kind of did that same thing.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, actually, yeah. Cool.
Right, so it's one of those where like the people there who come there to fight aren't really regarded as wrestlers per se, but that's what's going on. There are rules of competition and shit, and those rules basically make it professional wrestling. But I'm going for wrestlers more like King from Tekken than anything else.
Okay. Oh yeah, I like King from Tekken, dude.
Yeah. If King hits you with an RKO in that game, dude, that's half your health bar. There's nothing worked about that. That shit's for real.
Did you play the latest Tekken?
Oh my God! Don't even.
No, I'm serious. I want to know.
Started, Lucas.
Because like this year, this generation, if anything, has put out some really good fighting games. I mean, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat's come back with 1 and 6, Street Fighter 6, and what is this Tekken? Tekken 8, 9, 8? Yeah, okay, cool, yeah. So.
We've got a whole generation right here, a whole brand new fighting game generation for everything at the moment, it feels like. All we're missing is King of Fighters, DOA, and
Marvel versus Capcom.
Yes, and like a good Marvel versus Capcom. But
I heard a rumor that they're going to do a Capcom versus Sega.
Ooh, that'd be tough.
That would be tough, dude. I would like
that'd be fucking crazy, because Capcom...
Yeah, Capcom's on a roll, dude. They're killing it right now.
Yeah, Capcom versus Marvel versus Capcom used to be that shit, dude. I used to play shit on Dreamcast back in the fucking day when they.
I love the art style, dude. There's something about the aesthetic of those characters, seeing the way
the fact that I could be fucking Jill Valentine and like shoot rocket launchers and shit at like Cyclops was fucking.
I like Cyclops, dude. Are you excited for the new X-Men '97?
As much as anybody else. I'm sure it'll be pretty good.
I hope so. I'm not a big fan of the animation so far.
No, I don't know a ton about it, nor have I seen a ton. I'm aware of what it is. I've seen a couple still images.
Bro,
it's just that when I was back then, while I did watch that series and I watched the Spider-Man TAS, I liked like Batman TAS and Superman TAS. I liked those more.
I like those. Oh, dude, yeah, that's going to be a really good transition into what I want to get into. But, dude, today, man, they announced that they fired the head writer and creator of the X-Men '97 show.
I saw that. That's not a good sign.
That's not good. It premieres next week, and they're just like,
that's some Geralt. That's some Henry Cavill getting fired from The Witcher level shit there.
Oh, yeah, something's happening. But
something's going on. That's not good.
So you're talking about all these other shows you watched growing up, the animation, as far as like, like for me, it was definitely Spider-Man, X-Men, Batman, and then Superman. Not as much, but I think I've watched more actually as I got older. I don't know why that worked out like that, but it did. WB Kids was amazing, and I liked Fox. Was it just Fox Kids or whatever? I forget what it was.
It was a couple, didn't it? Because trust me, I trade and all this shit for memes. So it's like, it was all of them. It was Fox Kids, but mostly mostly Kids WB.
Kids WB.
Because they had Static Shock and Batman Beyond.
Yeah. Dude, I heard they dropped the ball in the Batman Beyond movie too.
Yep. They just can't fucking stop.
Oh my god. Yeah, like even last night or when the Oscars were happening, people were showing pictures of Michael Keaton and said, how did they fucking drop the ball?
He'd be the best old Bruce Wayne.
I know, bro. Can you imagine just him?
He's so fucking
with
good.
A freaking Greyhound.
Yes. In the Flash, they fucking had, I'm just glad the Snyderverse is over.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, and I was there day fucking one for Justice League. I bought a shirt for it. I fucking think I threw the shirt away. I was so mad.
I still have a Batman versus Superman shirt in my closet.
Dude, I didn't play. I went and got very rarely would I ever wear like a full a t-shirt that has a pattern all the fuck over it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not really wearing shit like that normally. It's not my style normally, but they had one.
But this one shirt I have.
This one shirt it's probably gone. But it was like it was from a famous JLA cover that just had all of the League, and the shirt was so badass because it was big. The pattern was big enough, and it went from front all the way around, and it had every League member you could think of on it. From fucking John Stewart Green Lantern to Hal Jordan Green Lantern to Red Tornado to Vixen to Mr. Terrific, Hawkman, Hawkgirl.
That's awesome.
Green, it had everybody on it. And I walked in there day one in the theater and sat down with that shit on. And when it was over, I was like, ooh, I just don't know about all this. That has been me in DC movies.
But you made your own opinion, bro. At least you did that. Like, you had to pay, you had to go and sit through the hours and watch what they were putting out there. But you at least didn't just jump on a hate train and just bash something without seeing it. But
for sure. And I'll tell you this. Zack Snyder's Justice League influenced parts of Blue Harvest.
What the Snyder cut or like the actual?
The Snyder cut specifically. The Snyder cut
nice.
specifically.
It's not too bad.
Because
it'll be a cult favorite.
It's not too bad.
It'll be 20 years from now. It'll be like the prequels.
Yes, exactly. Because people forget the Watchmen movie back in the day. People didn't love it like that.
Nah, yeah, it didn't hit. Like, well, even though like at that time we got movies like Sin City and stuff that had that had this like dark, grimy hero looking aesthetic out there, but
I remember loving Watchmen. I thought everybody loved it, and I had to find out the hard way that it was kind of polarizing. Yeah, not everybody did. It was kind of a divisive film. Some people were like, that fucking sucked.
Bro, that happened with the TV show they did too, though.
Same thing exactly. I've literally in my comment sections, because at this point, it took people a couple of years to get over their shyness in my comment section, but now they're well and truly fucking past it. People are writing dissertations and theses down there, and I just let them be and kind of watch from my little tower. And I've seen people in my comment sections getting into huge arguments over the Watchmen show and the Watchmen movie. And yes, it's 50-50. Some people think the show's better than the film. I don't know. I haven't seen the show.
Let me ask you this, man. What was everybody's reaction to Akira Toriyama passing away?
Oh, man.
Did you get a loud, response to that, or?
Yeah, a big one for sure. And if I felt like it, I could milk it, but I've done about enough. I'll continue our Dragon Ball Z Kakarot stream pretty soon, and that'll probably be the extent, because everybody feels it. Everybody is affected by it in our space, I think, because so much of us just fucking grew up with Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball and GT and Super, but these.
Wait, what?
Like I said,
what was that?
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay. I'll just.
Time has just altered my feelings on some of these things.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, as time has went on,
So you finally come over to GT is better, right?
Oh God, it's hard for me to say that because I still. I'll tell you this. I think GT was closer to being a good sequel to Z.
I think so too, man. You may not like it, you may not love it, but
that's literally how I feel.
And you might hate it, but you gotta respect it because look and aesthetic wise, and even where they end up going with everything,
right? And even where they end up going with everything, it's like
feels like more natural to what things are, but that's like a bigger time skip.
For sure. You know what GT could use? What it could desperately fucking use is like a GT Kai where they just trim the fucking fat. If they did that and cut out a handful of episodes, trimmed some stuff down, shortened up some of that shit that felt like filler but wasn't because there was no filler. You know what I'm saying? Just take out a couple of those Pan and Trunks and Goku dicking around episodes.
Dicking around in space.
Right. It doesn't even have to be all of them.
No.
Just take out some of them and give the fights more room to breathe. And I think you're golden. That series goes up to like an 8 out of 10 or something like that if you do that.
Really?
I think so, because Super 17, really fucking cool, man.
Really cool.
Fucking Dr. Wheelo or whatever. I thought he was kind of neat.
Yeah, Baby Vegeta?
Baby Vegeta is one of my favorite villains.
Yeah,
I used to play with Baby Vegeta. He was on my team in Tenkaichi 3. He was one of my favorite characters in that game.
Oh, man. It's
and
so wild.
Omega Shinron's a cool villain too.
Yeah. It's so funny looking back, dude. Like, especially when we were growing up, watching Z, following it. At that time, though, GT was already out. So there would be these moments where those characters would be in a video game or in a magazine, and you're like, who the hell is Baby Vegeta?
Literally.
Like, what is Super
pick
Saiyan
up an
4?
issue of... Right. You pick up an issue of fucking Beckett, and you see Goku wearing some red jacket with long hair, and you're like, what the hell's happening?
What's going on here? I
That's
love
his
Beckett,
fur.
dude.
What?
Dude, I collected those, man. Hardcore. I went to this place called Bookland in my hometown, and they had a small little magazine rack on the back. It was like a very small version of like a Books A Million, and they had like Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon card tournaments on Saturdays. But I'd go there and get the Beckett magazines, and in them would come a poster that I had. Like, my whole room was like decked out with those like magazine size posters that you could.
Dude, that's badass.
Oh, I loved them, man. It was so cool. Because at that time the internet wasn't like popping off. You couldn't.
No.
So it was one of the only places you could get. I even remember reading an article about like their fan casting for a live action Dragon Ball Z movie, and they had like Vin Diesel as like Piccolo, and I was like, what the?
Vin Diesel's Piccolo. You'd make him Nappa if anything. What the fuck? Or the Rock is Nappa would be funny, but he'd never let himself be a character that takes an L that quickly.
Oh no.
I'm kind of mad at Dwayne. I'm a little pissed off.
You don't like Diarrhea Dwayne?
Okay, all right. Seth, please.
When people started saying that during when they were all out there,
he got that shit over. He did, because he's over. He got it over with the crowd.
Cody said,
said it,
and he had to compose himself.
Yeah, I was like, Diarrhea Dwayne, that's fucking nasty.
Diarrhea.
But no, he's a heel with me, fucker.
Yeah.
Dude, ruined the... If there was any hope of that Snyder DC universe continuing, he made sure it failed. He made sure of it. Fucking everyone who cares now has heard about what he did behind the scenes. He fucking ruined, it's twofold. Not only did he put out his own movie that he had created some creative control on, and not only did that flop, even though I kind of liked Black Adam, it did flop. We didn't need any more flops, Dwayne. So not only did he do that shit, but he ruined Shazam 2, because he was supposed to be the villain opposite Shazam in that movie, which is what happens in his fucking comic series. But he talked them out of that and talked them into having Black Adam be a Superman villain instead.
Yeah.
Which, got us Henry Cavill back for the end of that movie, but that's because Dwayne wants to fucking tie with him and be the opposite hero of him. Be the other hero on the other side, an anti-hero to Superman's hero.
Yeah. He's like, I can't be Superman, so...
Yeah, right. Literally, dude.
Let me be the evil version. Right.
Yes. If he could have been Superman, he would have fucking been that. But because he couldn't, he took the one character they were going to let him play And he strong-armed and he politicked into having that be a tentpole character like Superman. And when that was demonstrated to not fucking work because his movie tanked, and then Shazam 2 came out attached to it, and even though Shazam 1 was a good movie that did well, Shazam 2 went to shit because they had to pull their main villain out because Dwayne refused to lose to a guy he considered a goofball. Even though that's his fucking canon character.
Exactly.
The whole thing, dude. Like, so no, Dwayne's a heel with me. I hope Cody and Seth beat his ass.
Well, do you think he had kind of done the same thing with, like, injecting himself into WrestleMania?
Yeah, kind of.
Do you think he heard all this shit going on with the Vince and stuff and was like, yo, put me in there, coach. Like let me take some of the heat.
You've got the right. I'll put it like this. So from what I've gathered from, and now that I'm back paying attention to this shit, I'm up to all my old habits and dirty tricks. I'm listening to dirt sheets and shit. So yeah, as far as the people who are close to this have been told, it was a meeting with the TKO board, which Dwayne is now on, and to distract from the Vince controversy, they were thinking of doing some big, Hollywood angle. And by Hollywood, I just mean a big money angle. And the first thing that came to their minds was the one of the motherfuckers was in the room with them, and they went, "Well, you're The Rock.
Yeah.
How about you show up at WrestleMania and we'll make a shit ton of money and no one will be talking about any of this. You'll face Roman for that title. Obviously, Roman will keep it. And, it'll be a huge money match. No one will be talking about Vince." And they said, great. And Dwayne said, great. And only after that did not go over well.
That's what I'm talking about. The pivot, bro.
Did they pivot? And I'm telling everyone this now. If Vince McMahon was still in charge of that company, they would have shoved Rock and Roman down your throat and you would have liked it, or you would have the fucking just not watched, dude. I promise you on everything. If Vince was still in charge of creative, that would have been the match and you would have had to like it because no shot it changes. The fact that they pivoted is such a testament to how different the company is today than it was the years I was doing podcasts on it. They would have never changed this due to fan reaction. Fuck you, they would have said. Fuck you. And they would have done it anyway.
Man, and the outcry was unreal, man. And
it really was.
Seeing the people respond and obviously me just jumping in, I was like, hold up, what's going on? And I had to educate myself and like, okay, so Cody Rhodes lost. He was supposed to finish his story. They took the risky move of having him lose. Like, I really felt like that's a huge risk. But they're like, look, this will pay off. We're going to build this up, dude.
And they said that.
That was your Infinity War. Now we're at Endgame.
We are, but that they were playing a very dangerous game.
That is. Because
you cannot, that's the thing, when you're interacting with a live audience, you cannot be sure that they'll still be hot on Cody a year from now. We are. Everyone is. He's one of the most over stars in the whole company. Good on him for staying that hot. But LA Knight is kind of finding out the hard way that if you don't get over at the end, like if you don't win at some point after all the adversity, or if they wait too long, people will go fucking cold on you. And people are starting to go cold on LA Knight. And he was red hot a couple months back. He was the biggest star in the company a couple months back. He was hugely over. When he came out and said, "Let me talk to you," or when he'd go, yeah, everyone in the building would say it back. Sold out crowd, the whole building would say it with him. People are going cold on him, man. He's not getting the response he used to, and it's because they had a hot thing, and they're just not,
Well, now they're trying to bring this whole AJ Styles thing, and then he was in the Elimination Chamber, but most of that time he pretty much just sold that he was hurt. Like, he's like, my man, and he just kind of laid on the mat a lot. He didn't get a lot of, and that's the trouble with some of those bigger matches like that. Like,
That's true.
How do you give everyone their moment? And that's why I was like really interested. Like, and see, man, we're back on wrestling. It's cool. We're here. But like last night with the Gauntlet, like watching Sammy fight three people, Bronson Reed, Ricochet, who that was the first time I saw him, and he was fantastic, dude. He was flying all over the place.
Ricochet is, we could get into it, but keep going.
Yeah, but like just seeing like, man, that's at least like they're going in, and it's almost like it's a Royal Rumble elimination. It's like one at a time, 1-on-1, and then whoever loses, somebody else comes out. And I was like, that works better than going, here's 30 people. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's a little challenging. Sure. But the Elimination Chamber, to be fair, goes, here's 2, and now every moment or every so many minutes, somebody will come in. Or something like that. Anyways, it was really interesting having them in pods there too. Was really cool. I think the people that were there were really good. But you know, you're talking about LA Knight. I heard that. I also heard that Drew McIntyre carried WWE during COVID, and
he really did. He won poor man won the championship in an empty arena.
I know, and that's why they're kind of hoping he gets a moment. My prediction is that he will beat Seth freaking Rollins. I think he will.
Mine too.
I think he will. I think Seth will get carried into this whole bloodline thing, and then when Cody beats Roman Reigns, Seth will be like kind of turning away. He'll be like, I gave up everything to help you, and now you're champion, and I lost, and I got shit. Now I'm coming for you. And then it's like,
that could be a good feud. That could be a great feud because Roman is, and I'm just gonna say this is based on a lot of things, but 99% Roman takes time off after this Mania.
Absolutely.
He's had it for 3 fucking years. He's almost certainly, even the betting odds are in the favor of Cody. I want to say last time I deigned to look in that direction. So most people have the smart money on Roman dropping the strap to Cody. It's been long enough. Cody's red hot. He's doing all the right things. People don't realize his record. Dude has beaten Brock Lesnar clean like 2 times in a row.
Wow.
He's 3-0 over Seth Rollins. Seth has not beaten Cody at all. He would be 1-0 over Roman, but there was interference in their match at Mania. What else has he done? He's won back-to-back Royal Rumbles. Like, in terms of wrestling, if think about it in comic terms where a character has feats of strength, let's say, Cody's feat list is big, dude. That's a lot of shit.
Yeah.
It not just anyone beats Brock Lesnar at all. CM Punk tried and failed. Undertaker tried and failed. But Cody's beaten him twice. And to win back-to-back Rumbles is huge. To have beaten Seth Rollins 3 and out definitively is also huge. He's like, I'm sure I haven't even checked WWE 2K24 yet, and it's so funny because I'm looking on Discord and I see my head mod for GP playing it right now.
Oh, dude.
He's playing 24 right this second. I can see him down there doing it.
It's so fucking fun, dude. It's so cool.
I want to get, because I'm just starting to finally do the
you can do My
Universe,
My Universe or My GM.
Oh, yeah.
That would be so much great. I love watching that shit, dude.
Well, what I want to do more than anything, and I've been saying this on our Friday streams, is I want to do fights on Friday nights eventually. Right now, we race on Fridays, and that's decently over. I get a good crowd of regulars for every race night on Friday. But
really? What y'all race?
Since I play on PC, and even if I emulated Nintendo games, they would come to my door and drag me out of it into court. I play Sega Racing.
Yeah, I saw that video, man. I saw that stream. Yeah.
Dude, it's I just think it's a really fun, accessible racing game. It's one of the only kart racing games we have on PC that isn't like Need for Speed or something.
Yeah.
And I think because everyone recognizes the characters, you know, like Sonic, Alex Kidd, Billy Hatcher, Ooh La La from Space Channel 5. It's a good nostalgic game, and also my dad voices a character in it, and the community has been trying to guess for a while now which one it is. I won't tell them.
That's wild, dude. That's gonna be a very unique
every time he
experience
passes me in my head, I'm like, "Fuck, old man."
Dude,
I tell him sometimes.
That's so cool, man. I actually never played it. So when I watched your stream here recently, it was one of my first times actually sitting down to watch it. So it was really cool.
Let me ask you something about that. So I I kind of just I like tweet and forget about it basically. So I'll upload the VOD, copy the titles over from Facebook, and just kind of leave it at that.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I'm worried about the capture quality. How is it looking?
I think it's looked really good. I think there was moments during Kakarot where it kind of
That's what I'm
dipped.
talking
It kind of
about.
dipped a little bit at that point. Trust me, dude.
It looks.
It
I'm gonna be
looked.
honest with you. On my end, it feels like because I was watching some of that back, and
Hmm.
during like the Raditz fight and a couple of other fights, it looked like the stream was just fuck. I mean, you could hear me fine. It looked
Yeah.
like the stream was just fucking
Yeah,
dying, man.
yeah, yeah. It's a challenge, man, to find the right settings. I'm actually going through that process right now. Like I was talking to you before we recorded and everything. I was like, I'm trying to tweak some audio stuff because I got a new laptop here recently, and I'm just trying to get everything set up. And I didn't save any of my old settings from my last computer or anything like that. So I'm a sucker for going back. Like I feel like that's so important to quality check. And when you do stuff live, and I've learned this like with my job because we work on a live show, and like, dude, once it's up and live, like you can't do anything about it. Like, and then you're also trying to think about it, like, okay, somebody could be watching this on their phone. Maybe I sound
Yes.
different. Maybe they have headphones on. Maybe I sound loud to them in headphones, but I'm actually pretty quiet when you listen to me like on a regular speaker. There's so much that you have to take into account. And it's hard for me personally. That's why I've taken such a lax approach to it lately, is where I'm like, all right, I'm going to throw on my headphones, no cam. I'm on Xbox and I'm playing this game. And I just want to hang out with some people. And I do that very rarely, but that's the only way I can really stay engaged with what I'm doing. As far as like doing it any other way, I've found that it can be challenging, dude. I mean, unless you're in a rhythm with it and you feel confident and comfortable with your setup, and you've already got those kinks worked out, like when you're going through that troubleshooting quality check part of it, because dude, to be honest, like your first handful of streams or anything, this as a creative person, they're gonna suck. Like
Oh yeah.
they're not gonna be what you hope. You might
No.
have all the equipment, you might have all the setup that you think as far as your settings are right, you've done this, done that, you've read all the tutorials, you've watched the YouTube videos, you're good. But it's an ongoing personal journey because your setup, your recording stuff, your room, everything, your computer setup, so unique to you. And it's really hard to get a universal step by step, or at least get it to where it's the best quality. So that's always challenging, man. And it takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of patience. And unfortunately, you're going to put out some stinkers, and you're going to sit there and think, man, I had such a good time. This must have been great. It looked good on my part. And you rewatch something, you're like, oh, fuck. Like, would I watch this? Would I listen to this? Would
Yeah,
I? And you're
exactly.
like, I don't know. Try to give yourself grace, but you also have to be your toughest critic because you want to put out the best. Because
Sure.
it represents what you do. And you
At this
also.
point, I'm just hoping that um I don't know, man. I'm just hoping that I can, like you said, find the right settings. Maybe
Mhm.
if that's it, get a better internet connection. If that's it, I'm not 100% sure if it's Facebook or if it's some combination of all of these things.
Mhm.
But I'm really just I know I've done some streaming before,
Mhm.
but only now am I on the main platform going, okay, attention everybody, we're gonna be streaming this on Friday. Only now am I doing that.
Mm.
And the Kakarot stream was the most successful stream I've had. It had a great turnout, tons of reactions, over 100 comments from people. You just call it a chat, but like people actually were interacting in the chat, leaving cool
Mhm.
stories. Um, One guy was like, "You gotta start streaming on Twitch. I'd watch you on Twitch." I'm like, "Okay, I'll get over there, I guess." So the live version of it went very well, which is great. Um,
Mhm.
but the VOD, yeah, I don't know about that. Like you were saying, the
Well,
quality, just on the capture, the quality on the capture, I don't think is great during some of those fights, and I think I know why, and I can maybe fix it before we do Namek. But yeah,
I mean,
you're
but
right.
you're
It's
but
a
you're
journey.
it's a journey, dude, but it's also very experimental, you know, and I think you should give yourself permission to experiment. And so if somebody goes, hey, try out Twitch, dude. It wouldn't hurt. You know, try
No.
everything you can and see what works best for you and what works best for your audience. Because what I have learned, if I lived in a perfect world, I would stream on Twitch because the best quality and it's easier. And then I would export the VOD if I to YouTube if I wanted to. In a perfect world, I'd edit that. In another perfect world, I'd highlight it. I clip it. It'd be reels. It would be you just like the art of content now is to make your one thing be on every platform somehow,
Yeah,
and you can
with
do
lots of
that.
little short clips of your best
Lots of you
moments.
can do it all, dude. But the quality that I've noticed from exporting a VOD of a live stream from Twitch to YouTube has been really good. As
Really?
far as the quality and bit rates that YouTube does when it comes to streaming, that bit rate is the key. You got to look into the bit rate. The bit rate limitations on Twitch versus YouTube are vastly different. And that's why people go, yeah, what's cool about YouTube and why I would want to stream on YouTube is that you have everything in one place, and they're a better platform for discoverability because of VODs. Like, they are a VOD site. They are videos on demand. It's not pure live streams. Now, you can go on Twitch and watch a VOD there, but I don't think many people do that. And when you click on a video that's 3.5 hours long, yeah, you know, and then maybe that
Yeah.
person goes live tomorrow, I'll just catch him next time, you know. It really just depends, and that's why people have mods who highlight and get clips and put that stuff out there. It's about condensing things, making things like accessible. But what I'm saying is, like, it's all about just trying to figure out like what works best for you and your audience. And VODs most of the time are not gonna do well. Like, it's just that's how the game goes. People like the live streams because of the interaction. They like to feel part of the show. They like to feel like they're poking and you're reacting, and they don't get the same satisfaction from a comment section or watching something after it's already been done. Now, some people
Right.
do. Some people like to go like, "Hey, you missed a chest back there," like, and then people will like, you know, I've watched a lot of Let's Plays, but I feel like that's almost better if you approach it like you record it and then have that. There's a different kind of like play with the audience, man. And it's kind of like I heard Seth freaking Rollins talk on fucking Logan Paul's podcast. Because God, of course,
You,
like,
you you really say the whole thing like a Tribe Called Quest, but like a Tribe Called Quest, huh?
well, he
I love it, dude.
he was talking about like you're out there and you're hearing and feeling the reaction that not everyone can pay attention to everyone out there, like when they're talking about the wrestlers. So it's like you're going out there and you're like, yo, when I do this, the crowd responds, they fucking love it, dude. They're eating and they're like, really? Okay, cool. Well, thanks for that feedback, we'll keep that in consideration. So there are going to be things where you will notice like that not other people would. So you also have to like gauge your meter and set your boundaries, because you can't feel like you're in a constant state of like correction. You have to just go, this is what it's going to be. I'll try this for a few weeks, or I'll try this for a couple streams, and give it really a chance to collect that data. But the just
Yeah.
like one and done, all right, that didn't work, I didn't get the response or the feedback I was looking for right out the gate. Like, sometimes you got to play the long game, and sometimes you
Yeah,
got,
for sure.
and I
And
always,
I'm gearing
you
up
know,
for that over on
for
Twitch. You're
sure,
right.
dude. It's about practice, man. It's like the only way to practice that though is to just go live and or just record or just write. You know what it is? Like, you just got to do it, and you got to hope that you're going to be able to continue to improve and have honest feedback. And you'll know it when it's connecting, and you'll know when it's not connecting. But there's also got to be, especially when with gaming, for me, it's like you still need to have fun. And you can't lose sight of that, because I think people will have more fun when you're having fun. And when it becomes such a tedious process, when you're so distracted by all this other stuff, when it comes to making that hobby, that thing that you enjoy, content, that can be dangerous. You know what I'm saying? And there's certain things that I know that we both share that you got to protect, dude. And gaming is one of those things for me, and I've had to learn the hard way through my experiences with streaming and even making gaming content, where it's like, yeah, this looks like it's all fun, like, man, just playing video games and putting stuff out there, haha. But like, the way I ingest that entertainment is sometimes just personal. I'm in my head, it's escapism. I don't want to think about these other things, and it's my break away from it. But like I told you, doing the my GM was fun, having other people. It reminds me of couch co-op, you know, like, or hanging out with friends and watching them play, or playing with other people. Like, I love that. Yeah. I love that. But then there are going to be times where I just want to do my own thing, you know, so.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, but it's,
I'm actually having, and I didn't think I would, I'm having a really good time streaming games. And I want to say it's because I'm just streaming games I really like.
Perfect.
That's
so important, dude.
Right. It feels like, I mean, the advice I've gotten from pretty much everybody, and it's not like I've sought advice on streaming lately. It's just, I was watching enough VODs from podcasts and stuff that I realized, one, I could market some of the games I play as a stream. I'm sure someone would want to see me play this shit.
Oh, yeah.
And two, there's already a fan base there, and it's sizable. And it would just be, just like you said, I've just seen enough other peers have done it, and I've done it with the writing. You know, just once you have a certain large amount of people, whatever else it is you do. I actually just got through telling my cousin this when I was on vacation with him mid last year. We were out enjoying the beach, and he was like, "Oh, well, I play like NBA 2K or something like that," and I was like, "That's cool." And like somehow it had gotten through the family about Ghost Planet and things like that. So he knew like my whole fucking deal, which was really surprising. And he's kind of young. He's like 23 or something like that. So he was just telling me everything he fucking did. and he was like, you know, I'm kind of doing what you're doing. I do NBA 2K, and I got like, what did he say? Like 1,500 followers. And then he had my attention. Like, what? I was listening to him, but I was mostly watching the beautiful Siesta Keys Ocean. But when he said that, I turned to him and I was like, wait a minute, what'd you say? He says, I got like 1,586 followers. I'm like, wow. Then you got something there. I'm like, listen to me. You got something there. That's not nobody. I know people who still hustle to this day, and they have 300 followers on their main platform, and they don't look like they're going to get any more, but they put stuff out every single week. Because he was kind of bemoaning it, like, oh, you know, I don't really know who these people are, but they really like me. They gift me stuff, and they want me to stream more. And he has a fan base that wants what he is producing. But because of the age he is, I guess, he doesn't realize what he's got. And I don't even blame him. Me at like 25 wouldn't have realized what I have today and what you can do with it. But I was trying to impress that upon him. I was like, you have a fan base that is active and engaged and devoted in you. You can branch that off into whatever the fuck you want, man. Listen, you just need to keep providing that content to them, because eventually that's going to get you paid, okay? It'll be your job if you keep at it. I promise you'll get there. And listen, you could spin that off into other games or anything you want, man. It doesn't have to be games. Like, you'll get to a point where they'll just rock with you no matter what it is. If they like you as a person, if they like what you can create, what you make for them, there will come a time where they will rock with you because it's you. You have that now. Don't waste that. Don't squander that, okay? And he took me real serious. Like, he was looking dead in my eyes. He's like, yeah, okay, because I won't, because. I was like, good. You have something there. Some people would kill to have even that many people interested in them. Because if it's one thing you'll hear, the people with the numbers that people like me and like Lucas want to have, the people who will put out a video, and if they give it a week, it'll hit 1 million views. Those people, I've heard them say exactly that. If you've got like 1,500 people and like even just a couple hundred of them are heavily invested, that is a fan base. Some people will never get that. So if you have it, you have to take advantage of it. So with the streams, I think I never like to talk ill of Facebook because I'm afraid the orbital laser will find me and it'll take me out.
Be careful. Be
I'm
careful.
worried. I'm worried what Papa
Yeah.
Zuck will do because it's our main
I
platform.
hope you're
It's
not
where,
sitting by a window or anything.
I worry all the time whenever I criticize Facebook what's going to happen to me. Because they promote Ghost Planet a lot, and I'm grateful for that. Sometimes I've heard people say that the algorithm is shoving us down their throats, and I'm not complaining about that. That's great.
Yeah.
But I can stream to them and have each stream, even the racing ones, be successful because there are enough people there that whatever the fuck Ghost Planet does, they're like, oh, cool. Literally, our super fan in Japan, shout out to you, Jeff. I know you'll hear this, man. I know you'll listen. He listens to everything we do. He reads everything we do. He literally has put multiple of his friends in Japan onto Ghost Planet. And I know he's done that because A, he's told me, and B, I've seen the map and the analytics to prove it. I'm like, why are there 8 other people in Japan downloading this stuff on a Saturday? And then Jeff sends me a message on like Instagram that he's been passing it around to his friends in Japan. He's great like that.
That's awesome.
If you have Jeffs, you can do whatever you want. And so I know I need to get over to Twitch, because at this point I understand that you're just gonna have to go through a period where there's nobody really listening to you. Mm-hmm. Everyone goes through that. Even the biggest people go through that or had to.
Absolutely.
Right. And we've been through it with our podcasts, with our Twitter. We've lived this life too. So I understand the need to get over there and hustle and get followers and get on that grind, because if you do it long enough, you will see success, but you have to be serious about, you know what I'm saying, the consistency. I get it. I just thought I'd try out Facebook streaming because, as I've said on stream over there, they really push you if you aren't doing it. At the end of the month, they'll get there and they'll be like, hey, we noticed you haven't fucking streamed at all. How about next month you give it a shot, you asshole? How about you try it?
Wow, are they really pushing it?
I don't want to, again, I'm gonna.
Oh yeah. Well, this is me.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Yeah. Well, I say that because I know on Twitter, X, whatever, like that's something that they're trying to get into. I mean, I feel like they're trying to. There is a group of companies trying to compete with Twitch. YouTube just was already in the video business. They were already in the gaming, but they were already there. But when you look at Kick, when you look at all social media wanting you to go, well, instead of you streaming here, if you have a following here, why don't you just stream to this platform and trying to make it easier for people to do that. I mean, I've heard of people do Facebook gaming and Facebook streaming and stuff, so it's not like something that I'm like, huh? But I know that I feel like I'm advocating for Twitch, but I'm not like. But I also
it's fine.
It's the data is there, man, and you can't argue with it. And
no,
until
you
somebody else comes out with something better, that is the plays. And the benefit of being there and being on any platform, it is always going to be a challenge to get people that are here to go there. And from,
oh my God,
that's a super huge challenge.
Yeah, that's the challenge. That's an amazing challenge. You might as well be. You're not going to hear me make many religious references, but I like mythology and it falls within that. You might as well be Moses leading the fucking slaves to the fucking Red Sea. It's going to be about that difficult to get anybody in any large number to migrate from one thing to the other. Only the people who really fucking like you are going to do that. Yeah. And I think we both have those people.
Yeah, I mentioned something earlier. I mean, like it's like and at this point, I don't take it personal anymore. I don't really like for me personally, like where I am with the way I do my content. Like when I saw those people in a Twitch stream that I haven't talked to or seen in any other platform that I produce content or do anything, like it was just cool. Like I'm like, that's where you are and that's where we'll meet. And when I come through, we'll say hi and everything's cool. And I'll understand that we don't live in the same town, the same city, or we don't go to the same places, and that's fine. But when we do come to this place that we both find ourselves at this time, like, hey, always feel free to come up and hang out and talk, and like it's fun. And I've kind of gotten to that point, and I think that that's also, you risk, it's not even really a risk, it's just the truth is that these people here are not going to come here sometimes.
They're
But
not.
would you say, okay, because of that I'm not going to go here, or do you go there, know that, but also know that you are going to meet new people that wouldn't
Yeah.
have found you over there? So it's
And
like you
and just
gotta,
like you built up one of them,
yeah,
you can build up another one. You've done it
yeah,
before.
exactly. And they'll blend and they'll blur and they'll fuse, you know, they'll
Yep.
hopefully that's the goal, you know. And
Yep.
but you give people options, and I think that that's important too. I think that it's a real, it's a challenge and a balancing act as a creator to go, I need to focus and build and grow here, but it is also important, and it doesn't hurt to spread out a little bit, because there's other people. Like
Sure.
Instagram basically has TikTok, right? I mean, and then those TikTokers go on to have YouTube channels where they have like,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
compilations of their TikToks, and then they also like, hey, I also like gaming, so I'm streaming. It's like just putting themselves everywhere means that you can't miss them, you know.
Exactly. And if you don't do it, you're kind of, and I mean, listen, I've been sitting in the big chair at GP for about 6 years now, and it's been a wonderful, wonderful ride. Um, and everything you're saying is 100% true. I mean, it took me many years, because I'd say GP really started popping off maybe 2 years back. Maybe 2 years. Yeah, maybe 2 years back is when it really, really started, like gaining thousands of people each month, that type of stuff. And I started to realize then, I'm like, oh man, this is putting a lot of eggs in one basket. If anything happens to this basket, it's like I haven't made it at all. And that'll scare you. So if you've got like, if you're only on Twitter and you have a big Twitter account, like I know a guy, I won't use his name. We'll just call him Anime RJ. And if he's listening to this, I miss you, man. He was an account on Twitter that I knew from the earliest days of GP, when I was going from Facebook to Twitter to Instagram, just getting us started. I was going to build this up on every one of those, because
Yeah.
my dream was having a different thriving community on each, and it still is to some extent, a different thriving community on each social media. They would be completely independent. Again, we go back to wrestling. It was kind of wrestling inspired.
Yeah.
I want these over here to be my Raw fans. I want these over here to be my SmackDown fans. I want my NXT fans over here on Twitter. I want my my pay-per-view fans, people who buy all the pay-per-views, to be on this or that. And that's how I was going about it. But one of the guys who live tweeted Toonami on Saturday nights and did a lot of Toonami-based content, eventually, after years of operation, the thing that could happen to a lot of us any day, we just hope it doesn't happen to him. And I think someone reached out with a cease and desist or something to that effect. And I want to say it was because he was taking live video clips of Toonami and reposting them, and they probably didn't enjoy that very much.
Yeah.
But aspects of what he was doing could have been salvaged, but he got really scared by that and deleted his whole account. And
No.
and before he left, because a lot of the original people that I met on Twitter hang out in a private group, and they have for years and years and years and years. And very, very rarely has anyone new been invited into that group. It's like the OG of the OG Ghost Planet fans. It's a dungeon in there. And he was in there. And as he was leaving and telling us all of this, I was like, listen, man, I know how this is going to sound in 2023, the year of our Lord, but if you come over to Facebook, I can get you set up with something. We can get something going for you over there. If we massage the situation a bit, let me tie it into something, we can spin it off. I'm like, we can get you another platform and get you started with people looking at it. You know what I mean? We'll get you in our group. Our group is like 85,500 people last time I checked. It's getting bigger all the time. We can get you going again. And he just never took me up on that. And then his account got deleted. Or he deleted it. And I remember telling everyone, I'm like, well, he's got 30 days to change his mind. If we don't see him for a month, he's really gone. That was last year. I don't think we'll ever see him again. I don't know.
That's so weird, bro. That's so weird, though. Like, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I knew him for years. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, of course I do. Yeah, but it's also weird how just like that's how that can happen. Like people
that is how that can happen.
Just vanish. I mean, just I know it happens, and it happens in general, but now more than ever, man. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of people that I just I'll never talk to them ever again. Not because of
his platform was thriving.
Yeah,
he had numbers. He had a ton of followers. He had regular people whose names he saw all the time. That platform it's like it never existed.
Well,
and it's because of what you were saying, that too many eggs in one basket, man. Yeah, you got to spread them around.
It's a risky move, man, but you almost have to focus and grow one thing at a time. But you also need to know when you're able to like pivot to something else or
exactly
go to something else.
And you need to do it because that could happen to you.
Oh, that sucks, dude. But you know that kind of story tells me like it's definitely changed even in the short time that we've done content, from podcasts to YouTube to streaming, whatever it may be. And it's really tried to encourage me to try to do things obviously different, but also try to do things original. Like I remember when I first started doing wndrsoul, I used a lot of sound bites. I used a lot of things and I liked it. And in a way it was like me painting this audio picture, and I needed you to know like the tone and here's this thing. And then, but I started realizing like, yeah, dude, I mean, first of all, you can't monetize these things because they have copyrighted material.
Yeah.
You know, and then like some things can even get blocked technically. So it became something where it's like, okay, well, you know, this we have to find another way, you know, because nowadays, and this is where streaming also, I understand why people do IRL stuff too, because that's original, that's your stuff, that's your life. You know, even when you're streaming a video game, you're taking something else and making content with it. Like gaming for some reason gets like, because it's interactive, I'm assuming like you can't stream you watching The Boys on Twitch and have the show. Well, there's different things like, but you know what I'm saying? Like
I know what you mean.
Even like people with reacting to manga or, you know, and especially like you're talking about, like in this specific story, anime and those companies, man, they don't play around with copyright, man. They don't like you sharing that stuff, dude. They don't like you using that stuff. I've tried to make anime music videos in the past on YouTube. I had Toho and all these people just say, nope.
Yeah, you're
not yours.
Cut that shit out right now. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, okay.
It's like, if you want to keep this YouTube channel, you're gonna cut this shit out right now.
Yeah, man. And it's like you said about Facebook, it's about the mouse. It's like there are these big companies. And that's something I think that I've always felt freedom weirdly in podcasting. It is just that it's not like, it's, especially if you're a smaller channel, or I don't know, what do you call it? Shows, I guess a show. It's like they're not going through stuff like that like they are YouTube videos, you know, and you really have to listen out for it. You can't just point things out. I'm sure there are algorithms and programs set up to go, hey, when we see Goku's face on a video, we're flagging it, you know, like, I mean, I'm sure there's like tools like that, but I think it's a little bit harder sometimes with podcasts. But now podcasts are pretty much a video thing. I mean, it's almost like that's what you're told to do. You need to have a, you know, like especially with celebrities and people can afford those kind of setups. They've taken this podcasting like method and approach to just videos, and then they just take that and they make Instagram reels and TikToks and stuff like that. And, it's really hard to just be a podcast. It's really hard to just be a streamer. It's really hard to just be a YouTuber or anything. I'm sure
you gotta fucking do it all these days.
Yeah, I'm sure writers feel like they got to do more than write. I'm sure like everybody, especially when you're independent, when you're starting out, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of people go, I have so many great ideas, but I wish I didn't have to edit this shit. I wish I didn't have to promote this shit. I wish I could just create the shit, put the shit out. People like the shit, cool, more shit. Here's more shit. I like it. And all my energy goes to making this shit. It
and
doesn't.
And the top guys have it like that.
Yeah.
They get there.
For sure. I mean, Logan Paul doesn't edit his fucking podcast.
No, dude.
Doesn't edit his videos. He probably doesn't run most of his social media.
He shows up to that podcast, he sits down and records, and then he leaves. And then it's put out on YouTube later.
A really cool, interesting thing, and I'm surprised I've talked about Logan Paul as much as I have this episode. That's very, very surprising to me. But
isn't it just though? It's like it's. Ugh.
Well, he changed vlogging, daily vlogging. What he did is they would record, and then he had an editor, but their editor was in the UK, so he would record all day, send footage when they go to bed. It would be daytime in the UK. And then he would head
so he'd chop it up.
He'd chop it up, and then they'd have something to post the next day. I mean, it was like a well-oiled machine. Like, I mean, you got to give props to that. Like, that's so smart.
All props given. That's genius.
Yeah, so I like it, but
that is genius.
But like, dude, that's so much. And I think me and you both have been open about our experiences about just like how much work it is, and especially when you're usually either the only person or the person carrying the most of that. I'll
give you a great quote about exactly what you're talking about. It's from Tony Soprano, The Sopranos. And all due respect, you have no idea what it takes, or no idea what it's like being number one. Every decision you make affects every other facet of every fucking thing. It's almost too much sometimes, and at the end, you're alone with it all. He says that to his consigliere, and he's like, listen, you don't get it. When you're at the top of this, everything you do affects all of it. And at the end of the day, you're one of us as platform peers, we understand our struggle. But our families, our friends, our girlfriends, oftentimes they don't know exactly what it's like to do this or do that, you know?
Yeah.
Have a fan base online that you cater to, that you make content for. You know, they watch people like that. You have to try to be that guy. That's your deal, and it's difficult, and it is hard. That's why for people like Logan Paul, it's like you got to tip the hat. I mean, I get it. I think he's kind of but at the same
he's a
time,
heel.
He's a great fucking wrestler.
Yeah.
And when it comes to what he's done with podcasting and just being a well-oiled machine, getting content out to an audience eager to consume it, you got to tip your hat to him.
Oh yeah, and look, dude, I hate Prime. I've tried it once. I'm ashamed to admit it.
How is it?
It's really sweet, man. I mean, I'm a big fan of the red Gatorade, so I got like whatever the red Prime was, and it was like hella sweet. But I mean, I love the look of it. The aesthetic to Prime is really cool, and the way they're doing it now is like it's such an easy thing to just brand to something. Like they just said that they're the official sports hydration for the LA Lakers. So now all you got to do is put out Prime with like purple and gold, like purple and yellow and stuff, and then boom.
Marketing right.
There you go. It's like the same.
They probably
thing.
give the stuff out at home games
for sure, dude. Exactly. Yeah. But it's as simple as like a color, like the you don't have to do anything else. It's nothing flashy. Like it's simple marketing. I like it. But
be sure to come to the stadium on Friday so you can get your purple and gold Prime bottles.
Oh, dude, I hate it, man.
I took sports marketing back in the day. That's genius.
It's genius, man. It's it's wild. I mean, but it's also like, hey, he stepped into a market that was just being ran by two companies. I mean, it was Powerade and Gatorade, pretty much.
Yeah,
and then you had Vitamin Water came out, Body Armors came out. That's Kobe Bryant, I think. And like, so there was like, people were seeing like, hey, there's really just two dogs fighting this. Like this, we can get something in there.
And he came into an established market.
For sure.
And he's kind of killing it. I gotta respect that
killing it,
too.
Dude. Yeah. I mean, and
I respect that too.
Man, well, I know we've gone on a lot longer than I expected, and I feel like we didn't really get into something. So I want to make sure at least we touch and end with that. I don't know. How
we
much
really
longer.
should.
Yeah, I really feel like we should to some extent. This just might be one of those longer episodes, guys. So I hope you guys are enjoying this conversation that me and Kenny are having from Ghost Plan. Be sure to check out everything that we've talked about that he does. All the links will be in the description of this episode / video, because this is going to go out on YouTube. So if you're watching and listening there, thank you. And if you're listening to the audio only podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I think those are like the big the big places. I think Google is actually saying we're done. We're not doing Google Podcasts anymore. I don't think that's effective
Really?
now. Yeah, I got an email
No,
from
no,
them.
that answers a question for me because same super fan I mentioned earlier, Jeff in Japan was trying to share the podcast to someone else, and he said he couldn't get any of the Google stuff to work. Do you think that's already started?
It might be. I actually think it was supposed to be in March, dude. I think I got this like at the beginning of the year. They're like, yeah, we're not doing this. So
That makes sense. He said none of that was working for him. Okay.
So that's probably the cause. I think Amazon does stuff. But anyways, I don't know. Like podcasts kind of have a universal home. They can be found in so many places. So I appreciate everybody listening and supporting and checking out stuff. So hope you guys are enjoying this episode. One of the big reasons why I wanted to get Kenny on, and Kenny's been on before when we've talked about Dragon Ball Z, when we've talked about anime, when we talked about Toonami. That's actually probably some of the core things that we clicked on when we first met. And we're, I don't know if we were like introduced to each other, or if we just like found each other through the same, social circles on.
I don't even remember anymore.
I don't even remember, dude.
I don't even remember anymore.
Shit.
What's it been, like 5 years or something?
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's pretty wild. But over the years, we've had episodes and conversations about Dragon Ball. I know we've talked and expressed our passion and love for that, those characters, those stories, and the impact, the influence that they've had on us growing up to what we actually, are into today, and even what we do creatively and just things like that. But it was just announced recently that Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball, passed away. And I don't know. I did an episode years ago, like 4 years ago, about Akira Toriyama. I tried to do this thing where I was doing wndrsoul, like icon or idols, and I was like, these are the people that like have influenced and like made a really huge impact on me. I did one about Tom Brady. I think I did another episode on somebody I can't remember at this moment, but I did one on Akira Toriyama, and I like researched a little bit on his life, and I just wanted to have to sit down and kind of like give my flowers. At that time, I think Brawly was about to come out, Dragon Ball Super Brawly, and I had a lot of content that was Dragon Ball Z focused. I was like really just like, hey, this is something I've always liked, and it's Super was doing its thing, so felt like Dragon Ball fans were coming out again and like, hey, we're here, we got something. And it made me very nostalgic, because then it was like, especially when we talk about Toonami and just the running home. Like, I know people say it's so cliche, like, oh, I ran off the bus to go watch Dragon Ball Z after school. No, that literally was me, man. When I first moved down here to Alabama, like one of the first things I got into was Dragon Ball Z, and that place that I went to this bookland and got Beckett and met other people that liked it and watched the anime after school, and got into Linkin Park and Dragon Ball Z Linkin Park music videos and shit. It was just like this, like a whole phase of my life, and such a huge influence. And rarely, and I can name two right off like the top of my head, of like people that are creative or influential that have like passed away that really made me feel something when they were gone. And Stan Lee and Mac Miller, those are some recently for me that I can just name. But when I
still miss Mac,
I know, man. I think about that. I think about like the direction, the music he was making near the end of his life. It's weird to say it like that, but
no, I know exactly what you mean.
When it was coming out, I still wasn't 100% on board, but now my musical tastes have evolved, and I would have fucking loved it. I could see where he was going. We missed out, but
Swimming in Circles were fucking modern
so
classics,
fucking
man.
good, so good. Definitely need to get that. We got a record player recently, so that's kind of like,
ooh, a vinyl of that would be
that would be
nice,
good. Dude. That would be good. I actually have Hybrid Theory, And as much as I love that album, not a good vinyl album on a little record player. It's a, come on.
Yeah.
It's like, nah, it doesn't really, it's not the vibe, you know. Maybe a little bit of slow Mac, a little jazzy Mac, funky Mac would be good.
I knew a guy who had a vintage from like 1980, like 1988 or 87 or something like that, but a vintage Purple Rain vinyl.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, he sold it
Now,
years ago, but I saw it in person. I was like, dude, this is probably worth a shit ton of money. And I think he sold it for
probably.
like, yeah, he sold it for like 5, 6K, something like that.
Woo. That'd be
And
nice.
adjusted for inflation.
Yeah, right. Fuck, man. I hate the stuff I probably have thrown away, I've gotten rid of that would have been worth something today.
Yeah.
That could be Dragon Ball related. That could be it so much, man. But
Oh, I bet those orange bricks just shot up in price by a ton.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. You're absolutely right, dude. I mean, I know a lot of people have been saying they want to rewatch everything, and that's something I definitely was actually thinking about doing this year. I don't know why. I just was like,
Yeah.
it's about that time. I have my, annual rewatch of Dragon Ball. Just
It's a great time for it with everyone remembering him
exactly.
and going back.
And
I said on my Akira Toriyama celebration stream over in Ghost Planet that, I mentioned briefly that before Dragon Ball even, he did so well with Dr. Slump. I said on my broadcast that he'd sold over 6 million of that before Dragon Ball was ever a thing. I was wrong. It was 36 million.
Wow. 36 million?
And yeah, and he won like 2 different awards, I think, for it as well.
This is in the 80s, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. I was saying he is a three-peater. He's had 3 series that were just home runs each time. Dr. Slump, Dragon Ball, and DBZ. Both of those, all 3 of those were smash hits, huge successes. And I think in it's like the Japanese Museum of Art or something, or one of them. If you go to the manga section, literally there are plaques there that are like Akira Toriyama was a big part of the reason why in the late 80s, I can't talk tonight. Why in the 80s leading into the 90s, manga started to become not just a more popular thing in Japan, but it started to become popular in the West as well. A lot of that, the lion's share of that, is Akira Toriyama's work, all of it as a collective.
The influence, man, like the impact, like I can't tell you, like one of the things that I've committed to this year, and I hope that I can keep myself accountable, and I hope other people can do that as well. I've kind of started back on my gym journey this year, and one of my things is like, all right, if I get to a certain point, I'll get a tattoo. I have no tattoos right now, but I've always been weird. I don't know, like I've always just kind of been insecure about it. I've just been like, I'm a little indecisive. If I had gotten tattoos already, my body would look like a random mess, bro. It just would be just random shit.
Some people wear well though. Some people wear.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And but there's something I want to get something in honor of him. And obviously, if I were to start getting tattoos, I'd definitely get something DBZ related. And just his art style, from Dragon Quest to Chrono Trigger, and the impact that he had, dude. Can you talk to me, like, from your personal experience, the kind of influence and impact and that he had, or Dragon Ball had, or anything that he did, like looking back now, like?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, well, I got started with it pretty much when a lot of our generation did, which is the early days of Toonami. And I really quickly, because I want to say Dragon Ball would come on Toonami Rising Sun. And I was curious enough to start watching Dragon Ball 2 when I could catch it on CN. And so I got an appreciation for Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z around the same time. Like a lot of kids used to do. I used to draw Dragon Ball Z. I didn't need to trace it or anything. I just worked really hard. There's somewhere in one of my family's houses, if they've kept it, or it's under a bed or something, is a perfect drawing of Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. It
What?
is a great drawing. It's the best thing I ever drew, and I saved it, and it's in someone's house. But
That's awesome.
yeah, it's from like 2001 or something, and dude is my magnum freaking opus. Like the whole
That's so
school's like,
cool.
yo, that shit's
Yo,
so good.
yo, this man's a genius.
It's like, holy shit. And you know how it is when you're young and you're fucking
Yeah.
with a bunch of other dumbasses. They're like, dude, you should draw Dragon Ball.
Yeah,
You should be the one, man. You should be
dude.
drawing Dragon Ball. Look
Yeah.
how good that looks. But yeah, like, and I was, I'm starting to say this more openly on my stuff. It's like my parents got divorced when I was 7, dude. So I needed distraction ASAP, like yesterday.
Yeah. I gotcha.
And there were so many Dragon Ball Z games. I mean, I fell into gaming like anyone else, but I kept sticking with DBZ games, and I've played like all of us, I've played so many Dragon Ball Z games in my life. From like Ultimate Battle 22 or whatever, to Final Bout, to Dragon Ball Z Taiketsu, which if you've played that game, we have suffered together. That was an awful Dragon Ball Z game. I've played all 3 Legacy of Goku's front to back. Legacy of Goku 2 was the best one. Shout out to anyone who agrees. And listen, I played all 3 of the Budokai games, all 3 of the Tenkaichi games, both the Dragon Ball Z Sparking games. I played and got the T-shirt for I forget the one Dragon Ball Z game that only went up through the Cell Saga. It came out on like 360. I forget the name, but there's so many I've forgotten the damn names of.
Is it Sega or Sagas?
No, not
No.
Sagas. That's a different pit of sin. Sagas was a part of. Sagas was one of my Christmas gifts one year, and
No.
God, was that a fucking blow. I was like, do you
Oh.
hate me? Is that why you've done this? It's funny. I said in the live stream the other night when I was flying around in Kakarot collecting orbs, I was like, what is this, Sagas? Am I back in DBZ
Damn.
Sagas, man?
Damn.
But no, I've played so many of the games, Lucas, and so there's no telling. Like I said it on my thing, there's a decent chance I wouldn't be on Ghost Planet. There'd be no Ghost Planet. Butterfly effect, man. I watched as much of it and played as much of it as anyone else, and if it wasn't around, we probably wouldn't be talking right now. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude, I totally get what you mean. I mean, look, I'm sure at some point I would have gotten into anime. I know a precursor to me getting into Dragon Ball, Pokemon, stuff like that was kind of like bringing me over to like Eastern culture and pulp culture and stuff like of that was coming over there from the East. And so at that time, I'm sure I would have got curious enough and fell into another anime trap or manga trap. But man, dude, some of my memories with that story and the influence and just, dude, we all have those things growing up where we were just like, maybe at the time we couldn't even really explain why we like it. It was just, this looks so fucking cool. Like, look how their hair like turns
Literally
yellow.
the hair. It's like, what is this hair? What are they
flying.
doing?
Yeah, it's just so different from like, and that's why I think earlier I brought up like Spider-Man, X-Men, Batman, those animated series. Like here in the US, watching Saturday morning cartoons and stuff like that. Like, dude, what Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z was, specifically Z, was like nothing we've ever seen. As far as even long form storytelling, like even like you could, I guess X-Men and Spider-Man.
There was nothing else like it on TV.
No.
Nothing else like it on TV.
But like X-Men and Spider-Man, I think was like it was what is that word? It's not canon, but it was in order. And you could like watch from the beginning to the end. There were some one-offs. I know that Batman was like a one-off. Like everything was kind of like the Monster of the Week kind of thing.
Yeah, it was a very Monster of the Week series.
Right, where you have something like Dragon Ball where it was just like everything was just constantly moving forward. And it was my first like experience with that and that style. And man, it's just...
Yeah, because I felt like we were stuck on Namek from like 2000... to like
for a while.
It felt like 3 years we were on Namek.
Oh yeah, it's that's why I'm excited to go back and watch it and re-experience it. And I know there's going to be a lot of it that, man, it won't hit the same just because like there's nothing like seeing these things for the first time. but still, like, I think that they'll hold up. I love that 90s animation. I love that style. I love
Well,
just
plus
like,
you're going back now that he's gone, and
yeah,
I think that will add something. I mean,
absolutely.
shit, man. Just watching the opening to DBZ Kakarot with fucking Head Chala playing in the background. I
Yo,
don't
bro.
even. That is like towards the bottom of all of my most enjoyed DBZ music is fucking Head
I
Chala. I don't
know.
really like that song, but just listening to it and seeing all the Saiyan Saga stuff and Goku with the power pole and when they all stand there together and he goes Super Saiyan, it just takes you fucking back, man.
Now,
And you, yeah,
well, like, talking about Dragon Ball is one thing, right? I found it was kind of weird, and this is just my personal observation. Like, we know that Akira Toriyama made these things, but he was such a private dude that it's so interesting to me that he passes on early, dude. Like, really. I mean, he was in his
yeah.
60s, but, you know, man, come on.
All the great ones go young, man.
I know. And,
That
but the,
really seems to be playing out in our lives. All the great ones get
it
out of here
does,
young.
man. But here's the thing about it is, like, he's such a private guy. Like, there's few like interviews and video and footage of him, and some of that stuff's coming out now, oddly enough, but
Yeah.
it's still just wild that and it almost even seems like he was kind of like, I don't know, like, if
He looked good.
he must have known, though, that he was, how impactful what he had made was, right? Like,
You know what? I really don't think he did.
I don't think
I
so
really
either.
don't think he
When you
did.
listen to some of the things he says, and he was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, I just kind of was like, kind of freeballing it. Like, yeah, when I made Dragon Ball, did I know that Goku was going to be the alien? Nah, not for real, but, you know.
No, yeah, he had no idea. He was jamming things in. We know in the Cell Saga, most of the Cell Saga came from him sending things to his editor and his editor rejecting them and sending them back.
What?
Oh yeah,
Really?
every step of the way. Like, because the original villains of the Cell Saga were fucking Android 19 and 20. And
No.
his editor said, no, it cannot be. I think his literal words were, it can't be this mime and this old geezer. And
Yo.
so he made 17 and 18. And then his editor came back again. It's like, oh, so now it's a couple of young punks, huh?
Yeah.
And and then Toriyama brought in Cell. And the guy said, I don't know about this. He's ugly. And then he made second form Cell. And the guy's like, I just, listen, this is an ugly thing you've made here. And I just don't care for it very much, sir.
What?
So then he gave
Dude.
it a handsome face, gave it a nose and some lips. And finally his editor was like, all right, now we got ourselves a main villain. And I'll be damned. Sometimes it takes two.
Yeah.
Together they cooked.
That's,
Because Cell Saga is peak.
yeah, dude. I was about to say, like, really, and I have like a quick list, and that's how we'll wrap things up here shortly. And but definitely that time watching the show, that's when I was the most invested. I think I had to go back and watch some of the Saiyan Saga. I caught in like right around when everyone was at Namek and stuff like that. So, but I was balls deep when we got into the Android Saga, and when we got into that time, like, I was just like, oh shit, okay. And my
Oh, yeah.
feelings on the Boo Saga are, man, I hope they change when I rewatch it, but we'll see.
I
It
hope
wasn't,
so. I like the Boo
it
Saga.
wasn't bad, but you kind of like, I have this romanticized ending where it ends with the Cell Saga. Like, it just felt like that was perfect, dude. Gohan
It
just
was
goes
really
on and does
perfect.
his thing. He's the next Goku, sacrificed himself.
That
Cool.
that's why so many games end with the Cell Saga actually is because it makes such a good
It
ending.
makes so much sense. And then, like, Vegeta's character kind of gets fucked by Goku coming back a little bit. You know, things start kind of like, it kind of felt like he has to make this all work. But then the way he was telling the story was also kind of like, you know, oh shit, well, all right, this happens. You know, it makes
Yeah.
sense, but I don't know. There's just,
I think it has the most hype forms of any part of the
sure.
series.
Yeah, that's,
I mean, we
yeah.
get SS3, then we SS3 Go Tanks. Both of those are really cool.
I think
We
those are
get
underrated.
Vegito. Yeah, for sure. We get Vegito. And honestly, I mean, now that, well, I don't know. Now that he's gone, I can't really say that. I was going to say, I know that he doesn't like Super Saiyan 3, and that's why it hasn't showed up again. I read that he just didn't like it, and he thought it was kind of a dumb form in retrospect. So don't expect to see it.
Is that why
But
Vegeta never did Super Saiyan 3?
That and Toriyama has a very strong track record of hating Vegeta. That was very well documented. And yeah, but I think the Buu saga has the highest concentration of like cool forms because Buu's constantly changing form too.
Would you
And
would you have said that Vegeta finished his story?
there, you know what? Yeah, I think that was a really because Cell Saga was not a great look for him
Nah.
at all.
Even
Like he
though he
kind
has
of
a
went
moment or two, he comes in, he's like, "Yo, I'm strong
he
again, and my son, we're like Trunks
yeah,
and them after the hyperbolic time chamber is a cool aesthetic in time. It's brief,
right.
and
It's
it
brief.
doesn't really play a big role into anything else, like in the
No,
end
no,
game.
it really does.
But it
Listen,
was cool
I
for a
was a
moment. It was
it
cool.
was up until Gohan started looking like he was finally going to make something of himself
Yeah.
after the years we fucking spent on Namek with Toonami broadcasting reruns. It was cool. I mean, hell, I had a Vegeta like movie 13 toy back then that was really cool.
Really.
Yeah, it was really cool, dude. I missed that fucking thing. I'm a grown ass man and I miss that Vegeta figure, dude. Still to this day from like 2002. But like I was a big Vegeta fan leading up to the end of the Cell saga. And he just even as a big fan, it's like he just really didn't look that great. It's like yeah, he did have a couple moments where he looked really strong, but that caught up to him real fucking quick. He's having trouble with a Cell Jr. by the time it was all over, like everyone else. Him and Krillin both fighting for their lives against these fucking Cell Juniors. How far he's come. But like, you know, he let Cell become perfect and fucking Goku died for that. And I didn't even like Goku that much, but even I knew I was like, geez, Vegeta, that's kind of an L for the team, you know?
Yeah.
You let like the main guy we're here because of you. And now the main guy has to suicide.
Well,
And
how
that's
much
kind of on you, dog.
how much space is in between his form at that time and Gohan Super Saiyan 2? Like, is it that much of a difference? I guess so,
Enough
yeah.
that Gohan was one-shotting the Cell Juniors and Vegeta was fighting
It's
for his
karate
life
chopping
against
him,
one.
kicking him.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
literally he's
the
kicking him in
tough.
half and
Yeah,
all that shit. And
yeah.
even then, Gohan was holding back because we have him saying that, you know, he was sort of toying with Cell because he wanted him to suffer. So even that wasn't him really showing everything he had.
Well, like even Trunks kind of gets thrown. Yeah, you can tell at that point they're like, we have to set it up where Gohan
Yeah,
is.
Gohan's the guy.
Yeah,
Goku was the guy, but Gohan's the guy. You know who's not the guy? This guy with the widow's peak over here.
and his son definitely like
And his son.
obviously his future sucked.
Yeah.
He literally had to go back in time.
But Buu Saga did so much better by Vegeta. That outfit that he wears for the Buu Saga, which is just the main Saiyan armor being off,
Oh, I
that is
love
my
it. The
that is
Majin
my
Vegeta blue.
favorite.
Yeah.
Yes, that is my favorite look for him. It looks as good on Vegeta as the black suit looks on Superman, dude.
Man.
And the fact that
clean.
he's still, yeah, the fact that he's walking around in that Saiyan armor these days, I don't like it, Lucas. I don't care for it.
Doesn't feel like it makes sense. Like I don't think
No.
he has that same quote unquote Saiyan pride as he once did.
He
Like,
really doesn't. I don't
but-
even think he takes his title seriously in Super. He
Yeah.
never says it.
Nah, he never does. He doesn't.
He used to tell anyone who would listen that he was the Prince of all Saints.
Yeah, but think about it like this, dude. When you introduce other universes and gods and angels and shit, like a prince of a planet just doesn't really compare. He kind of got put in his
It
spot.
totally doesn't. But I feel like part of Vegeta's character was he didn't give a fuck about that.
I know.
He'd tell you anyway, and it was kind of part of his ego, you know,
Yeah.
his
Well,
ultra ego, you might
Yeah.
say.
Ooh. Yeah. Yeah, Vegeta, man. A lot of people love Vegeta. Well, let me do this real quick because I feel like we would go into this anyways. I have a list of questions that I was just gonna throw out, and we would just kind of go back and forth answering, and you can divulge if you like. But the first one is favorite Dragon Ball Z character. Is it Vegeta, or did you just have a phase with Vegeta, like overall?
Overall, it's back on Vegeta. It's Vegeta.
Really?
Yeah, and that's knowing everything. That's knowing all his ups and downs. That's being current on the Super manga. Like I'm current as hell on Dragon Ball Super. It's knowing what he does in Heroes. Like warts and all, the good and the bad. Yeah, I think he has the best arc in Dragon Ball character-wise.
Well, hey, that's fine. That's
Or
fine.
maybe tied with Gohan. Gohan has a great arc too, but
Oh, I mean, look, dude, you're absolutely right. I'm not gonna argue. Vegeta's a hell of a good character. I think his redemptions and his,
yeah.
him where he starts out to where he is today, dude. Like,
I'll tell you
it's
to sort of
nice.
piggyback on that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you my favorite, the moment that sort of reinforced in me that following Vegeta again was a good, like, I didn't mind that I was still a Vegeta fan even though he didn't win a lot. And it's in the manga when they're fighting Moro, and one of his goons is about to kill an Namekian kid, and Frieza, Vegeta flies the kid out of there, and I forget which bad guy it is, but he's sort of like, what do you give a shit about these Namekians for? And Vegeta's like, I did terrible things to these people. Not a single one of them will die again while I'm here.
What?
And I was like, ooh, Vegeta. I was like, that's hard as fuck, man.
Yeah, him coming to terms with what he's done.
Literally. And dude, I loved it so much. He was dead serious. He's like, I have fucking done terrible things to the Namecs.
Wow,
and
that's really cool.
You will not kill a single one of them while I am here.
Yeah,
it's sick, dude.
His ego used to always get in the way. It always would prevent him from admitting to the things that he's done. But and which is
he's
kind
such a man. Like he's taking responsibility for the shit he did, and he's already decided himself how he makes that right.
Wow,
I love that. I fucking love it. And he's a great dad and a loving husband. I love it.
Who's your least favorite Dragon Ball Z character?
Oh, that's such a good question. Jeez, who is it? Least favorite?
Yeah.
Probably like Goten.
Goten? You just don't like Goten?
I don't like either of the kids, dude.
I
don't like Goten and Trunks as
I don't like present day Trunks as a kid. Nah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of those.
Nah.
It's like we got. I like what Trunks means for Vegeta's character development, but Trunks was so cool back in the day for a while. Like, so cool, like bleeding edge cool when he first showed up in that fucking jacket.
Oh, dude.
And he carved Frieza up like a Thanksgiving turkey.
Dude, I mean, he's my favorite character. Future Trunks.
That's a good call. That's a great Trunks. And Super only did, looking back, I think Super only did a handful of things really well. And I actually think what they added to Trunks' lore was pretty cool.
Goku Black is not bad, bruh. It's actually Spirit
Sword Trunks is not to be trifled with.
It grew on me. I kind of hated that they were going back to it, to be honest. But Super is going to be one of those things that I kind of might treat it as like the Disney Star Wars trilogy, to be honest, dude.
That is a perfect
analogy. I might just say, I know it exists, and I know that there is
like
actually
Disney,
some good
Star
ideas.
Wars.
Yeah,
you're like, there are some good ideas, and the best thing we're gonna get from it is its villains being in video games for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, exactly.
Goku Black, fucking
which looks
Popo, Jiren. Man,
what are they gonna do with that, dude? Are they gonna continue that anime at all? Like, I know the manga's gone on.
The last thing I heard, Super was coming back for season 2 in like a year or so.
Really? God,
yeah, because at this point,
dude.
I know at this point the manga's like fucking 4 arcs ahead, like 5 arcs ahead.
Easily 4.
So it'll
be years before they get
right. They've got years to wring out.
Maybe that was their plan all along, though. Is like, let's just keep doing the manga, and then we'll have content, we'll have material. We'll just
possibly. I'll tell you what, Dragon Ball Super 2 has the potential to, and I last I heard that was the working title, Dragon Ball Super 2 or something, Part 2, something like that.
These names.
Yeah, all right. I'm gonna give you a hot take. All of the names past Z are kind of shit.
Yeah.
Grand Tour's kind of shit.
Yeah.
Super is not a great name. Daima, what are we doing?
I don't know. And then
Heroes, stop it.
Yeah. Yeah, when he said he forgot that the show was fucking Dragon Ball Super. So it's Dragon Ball Super Superheroes. I'm like, ugh.
Back in the day, I actually thought Dragon Ball AD sounded really fucking cool.
Remember Dragon Ball AF?
I do remember AF, yes, now that you mention it.
What did AF stand for?
I don't know. I think After Future or some
Yeah,
shit like
alternate
that. I don't
future or
know.
something weird
Alternate
shit.
Future. It was something like that.
And what's
That's
that?
some DeviantArt days.
Yo, yeah. There's some cool shit that came out of that. What's
Oh yeah,
what's the anime that they're doing that's about the card game or the game?
that's
And
Heroes.
here,
I watch that sometimes, dude.
is it
It's
anything good to come out of that?
no,
Damn,
no,
really?
Lucas, no.
Damn, that sucks.
It's got the same quality as Super. It's just much more what the
How
fuck.
did they drop the ball animation wise? I'm just
I don't know. It's not great all around.
yeah.
Most of Heroes is like, look, it's Super Saiyan 4 Goku from GT fighting a version of Goku called Xeno Goku that's full Ultra Instinct, but it's got Dragon Ball Super's animation, so don't get too excited. And
Yeah,
and
pump the
then it's
brakes.
pump the brakes. It's like don't get crazy.
Yeah.
It's gonna look like shit,
Yeah.
guys. Just so you know. And
Yeah.
then the fight happens. You're like, man, I should really be enjoying this more than I am. But this animation style is just shit. You're like, God, none of the punches feel weighty or anything. No one's bleeding or sweating. Clothes aren't getting ripped. This sucks.
Man, I'm trying to think about who my least favorite. You know who it is? Uh, uh, I like Gohan, but then there's parts of him that I don't like. Like when Gohan is a kid, it's very hit or miss, especially as you
Isn't
get
it?
older. Like as you get older, and there's that one movie where he does that whole little song when he's at school and they're dancing around with the dragon. He's having like that,
Oh yeah, and you're
yeah,
literally like Icarus, and you're like, just kill me now.
yeah. There's
You're like, dude, just unalive me now, dude.
yes, yeah. There's moments like that. I like Gohan. He's actually probably in my top 5 for sure. Like because I like the
He's
idea of
earned that.
Gohan. Yeah, like he has enough good moments and cool,
Yeah.
things like. I like when he has the long hair and the hyperbolic time chamber. I don't know why I'm bringing up the hyperbolic time chamber. I just feel like that.
No,
That was a really cool moment. Like seeing Goku in like Saiyan armor too. Like it was just I
Yeah.
don't know. It was nice.
No, I know what you mean because back then that used to mean something. Seeing characters and like one-off positions like Goku in the Saiyan armor,
Yeah. Oh
and you're
yeah.
like, dude, put that in a game, please. Can I play
know.
as him with that?
My favorite Goku alternative skin would be the outfit he has when he comes back from Namek.
That's
Man.
you're talking about the Yard Red armor.
Yeah, I love that shit.
That's a
dude.
fucking
I like
great
it.
look. They used to
Yeah.
sell really expensive figures of him in the Yard Red armor. and
What? I would love
My
to.
parents
I would
would
love that.
never buy that one for me.
Of course, man. Dragon Ball statues and merchandise is so cool to see. It's out there now. It used to be so hard to find, but
It
now
really
it's-
was.
But now it's so pricey, and I have to
And
justify.
it's mostly because any place you could have found it, someone wanted it more and they bought it, dude.
Yeah. I get the little ones. I have a couple. I actually have a Goku that fell on my girlfriend's head, and she has like banned it from the shelves because it like tipped over, and his spiky hair like cut her head. And yeah,
Dude, you should just tell her, be like, listen, that's how he got started. That's how all this started with Goku bumping his head.
Yeah, exactly.
He's
Oh, I
passing the
missed it.
torch. You're Goku, babe.
I should have. What else? I got a Majin Vegeta Super Saiyan that's in like a.
That's cool.
He's like in a sturdier pose. I need
I
something.
got a Super Saiyan 2 Gohan around here somewhere that's
What?
from
Word?
yeah, I actually brought it had it shipped from Japan. It was an actual model figure kit. I made sure it was one of the good ones, so it actually looks really good.
What that would be a question. What's your do you have a favorite Dragon Ball Z merchandise or thing that you even if you don't have it
Ooh.
anymore? Like, is there anything that you remember going?
That
"Oh, shit
that
was
movie
awesome."
13 Vegeta figure was really fucking good. That was a good one, and I remember because the thing I've kind of had to accept as an adult is a lot of our toys, not all of them. If you paid money, you got a good version, but sometimes the ones off the shelf, man, we remember them looking a lot better than they did.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
early Dragon Ball Z figures sucked.
They were
dude.
kind of rough, dude.
They were bad.
I mean, in our mind, they were spot on, but
Yeah.
you look them up on eBay, and you're like, oh god.
Yeah, I looked
And-
up the Burger King Dragon Ball Z toys that they came out
Oh,
with. Do you remember those? Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I do.
I almost went on eBay the other day and bought some. That was just.
I know how that is, but sometimes, like that movie 13 Vegeta, which was like an ultra figure or whatever you want to call it, he
Yeah.
was a big deal. He cost like $50. It looked fucking good, man, and
Yeah.
the musculature was there. His fucking big head vein was there. The hair was golden. That was probably probably my favorite piece of Dragon Ball merchandise, I have to say. I can't even think of anything else that comes close.
I love like the aesthetic early on. Like I had posters.
Yeah, dude.
The Beckett magazines were great. I had the trading card game when it first came out. The video games, like we talked about, those were like Legacy of Goku and stuff like that. You know, those were some of the best ways to get into it. It just was more challenging to find that kind of stuff. Anime wasn't as popular. Dragon Ball Z surely wasn't as popular.
Right. And the internet and just every way you could imagine was not as robust as we've come to be used to. So we didn't even know the right way to Google some of the things we wanted to find.
Exactly.
Culture was that underdeveloped. I remember my dad thinking Ask Jeeves could ask it. You could ask it anything. And I was like, does it know Diana from my math class phone number? Because I'd really like it. And he's like, I bet it does. Put her name in, son.
Yeah, put it in. Let's get it. Oh,
put it in. It'll know it.
What's your favorite Dragon Ball Z saga?
That's a really good question.
Like, and it doesn't have to be the best, dude. Let me make that clear, because I think people hear that question, they go, "Well, what's like the best one?" Dude, for me, like I'll answer first and let you think, but it's definitely going to be like the Android saga, the Cell saga, like that. Those I kind of blur. You can kind of squeeze them together and say that's one coherent story. Like you can't have Cell without the androids, and you can't have the androids without Cell. So they, you know, I kind of look at it as like that is its own thing. Like you could split it up, but you know, because you could look at the Saiyan saga as like you have the Raditz stuff, but then you have like the Vegeta Nappa stuff. Like there's like a first half and a second half to each of these sagas. So for me, it's just I loved History of Trunks. I just loved like, oh my god, like more people are turning Super Saiyan, and it was just a really cool time for me to be a fan of it. So I have a soft spot for the Android saga and the Cell saga.
They're good sagas. I think, I mean, in my opinion, those are the best sagas. That whole arc from Frieza coming to Earth all the way to Gohan defeating Cell, I think if I had to score it, would probably be the best arc of all of Dragon Ball, I think. I mean, it's got fucking everything and a great ending, an ending that could have been the end of the series, and I think everyone would have been fine.
I think it's also one of the few times, like that's the last time you get to see the Z fighters really participate. I think after that it becomes all Saiyans. Like it's like, yeah, you do have, yeah.
Exactly. And they all participated. Tien had a moment where he put down Imperfect Cell. Yeah. I only realized this recently, but even though Yamcha gets ragdolled by Jiro immediately,
yeah, just about to say, dude.
Yeah, Jiro, I didn't realize this. Jiro pays him a compliment by complimenting his power level before he does it. Oh, so even that's a little bit of shine for Yamcha,
I guess. But I think it was also just like, hey, we thought you were going to be this strong, but you're actually stronger. So cool.
Right. I mean,
I'm gonna suck this power. I need it anyway. So the more,
it's a small bone, but Yamcha was long past the point where he deserved any bones anyway. So he should be thankful for what he got there. And but if I had to pick a favorite saga, it would be the Buu saga.
Really?
I know how that sounds, but
no, dude, it doesn't sound any kind of way, man. I get it. Like I understand why people like that saga. Like I told you, I have this like weird idea that like it didn't go past that point, but there's so much from the Buu saga that I personally like the aesthetics, and certain fusion. Like you can't not like fusion.
I think for me it hit at exactly the right time, at exactly the right age, because the Namek saga was out when I was like, I think about to go into junior high. I think that was how old I was. But the Buu saga came out when I was like, either I was just a teenager or was a tween or something. I was old enough to really appreciate what I was seeing. Mm-hmm. Like Vegeta sacrificed himself. I still remember the day. I remember what I had for lunch that day. You know what I mean? Like it was a day, to quote Toonami, it was a day that would live in infamy. I never fucking forgot the day Vegeta sacrificed himself. And it's not even like, and it's not, at the time, I mean, Dragon Ball Z wasn't even my favorite show. It was probably Kids Next Door or some shit like that. But I never forgot that moment. We were talking earlier about both reading Beckett. I had been seeing in Beckett for years primers for the Buu Saga because Cell Saga was old when we got it.
Yeah, true.
And so Buu Saga was being like made while we were watching Androids. So I kept seeing stuff in Beckett that was like, listen, America, if you turn on your TV one day and you see a teenage Gohan fighting a pink genie man, don't be confused. It's the hot new saga from Dragon Ball Z. And I was like, what the fuck are they talking about? And like all of the cryptic teasing leading up to the Buu Saga had me like, okay, what is happening? And I gotta be honest, if Super did the Buu Saga with their animation style, I would despise it. I would hate it. But because I feel like the art style had reached its absolute peak in the Buu Saga, like the Cell Saga looked amazing, but if you go back and watch it, it doesn't look as good as the Buu Saga does. Like Buu Saga is like, holy shit, this is peak animation for it. Cause like Goku, Vegeta, and don't get me wrong, man, there are some episodes where the animation dips. Like there are parts of Goku v Vegeta that kind of look terrible.
Yeah.
Like I've seen the parts I'm talking about, but there are some parts of it that are animated as good as any one of the fucking movies, dude. And the Buu Saga had that. Like when they introduced the Supreme Kai for the first time, and Spovovich and Videl and all of them,
yeah,
that animation was on point.
And it's a cool story. I mean, it's a unique story. They're like, hey, we're gonna do a tournament.
Yeah, we're finally gonna do another World Martial Arts tournament. And I don't know if I was the only one, but when they were first getting into that, and we were watching it like each Saturday on TV or whatever, it kind of felt like the lead up to the Dark Tournament saga in Yu Yu Hakusho a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because there were all these characters. Vegeta's in a tournament, Goku's in a tournament, Goku's in, Gohan's in, Goten and Trunks are in, Android 18 is in, Mr. Satan's in. It's like there were so many people, and you're like, holy shit, is this the Buu Saga? Is it this? Is it the whole tournament? I don't know. And before you could even get used to the tournament, that was fucking over. Yeah. And we'd left.
Was there any highlights from it? Like, did they really? I can't. They didn't spend a lot of time there, did they?
They didn't. The savage beating of Videl, the sacred waifu, was uncalled for.
Yeah.
Shit, man. I had a huge crush on Videl, and seeing her beaten like that, I was just like, stop, she's already dead.
Leave her alone. Yeah.
I was like, she's so fucking hot. She's the ultimate Tom girl. Gohan, please save her.
Dude, it was so cool to see him become a superhero, though, too. Like, I don't know, back in the day, it was kind of dorky.
And only there, dude.
Yeah, but I like, what is it?
Because that Great Saiyaman shit has gotten old for me. I don't know about you.
What? Dude, that means, what is it? Kamen Rider. You know
I
that?
mean, yeah, I know about Kamen Rider.
It just felt like that. Now that I've, like, dipped my toes into that, like, I'm like, oh, I see what they were doing. But at the time, I was like, okay, maybe Gohan just wanted to use his powers still, but he didn't want to be like, he wanted to be a normal kid, though. So he's like, how do I?
Sure.
Okay.
And a guy like Gohan, that's exactly what would happen. He'd become that fucking thing.
Yeah, that fucking thing.
But now everyone's doing it. Fucking, Goten and Trunks are doing that in the manga right now.
Are they
doing
really?
it in Superhero.
Oh, that's right.
They're on that shit too. I didn't know he'd make it a family tradition.
I hope the best for those kids, man. I feel like they didn't get utilized in the Tournament of Power
at all. I'll be honest, Goten and Trunks have largely been made a joke since the very start.
Are they being saved? Is that kind of like, hey, we're gonna pivot over here? Here's the
now
next
that they're
generation.
older, there's some hope. But I mean, geez, man. And I said the Buu Saga is my favorite. Gotenks is a part of that because that's the last time he meant anything at all. Period.
Can Dragon Ball exist without Goku and Vegeta? Can you do a story without those two being the characters at the forefront?
I feel like at different points in the show you could have. Yeah, I don't think you can now because the expectation is what it is.
You don't think they'll ever do anything Dragon Ball without those two guys being involved? Even if what if they're dead or old or talking from like, I don't know, other world?
I tell you what, now that Akira has passed, I think now more than ever before, there is a possibility that they do things with the series that aren't Goku and Vegeta related. I think for the first time
you
that,
could have
you
two
know,
different things go on. I think they had an opportunity. Like if you really look at Dragon Ball Superhero, right? Like
yeah,
the premise is that Goku and Vegeta are not here.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're over here. So I
And
feel
it
like you
does a
can,
good job with that.
and I think you can have a threat over on this level and get these other characters involved and have them have a challenge, and they have to protect this, but have this way bigger, because like that's where the problem started to become when it came down to involving everyone else. It's just like the power levels, and it was just like it made
Yeah,
no sense to have Krillin out there, because it's just like, dude, you're not going to compete in this fight. Like, not because you
yeah.
don't want to. It's just like we are now way beyond
It's like,
that.
yeah, man, listen, we're like 5 sagas deep, and you know how this goes, Krillin.
Yeah.
Your potential was unlocked in the
Yeah.
second one. That's not good, Krillin.
Right. Let me ask you. I got a few more questions, and we'll wrap up. Favorite Dragon Ball Z movie?
Ooh, it has to be Fusion Reborn, man.
Really? Okay, that's up there
Yeah,
for me. That's probably actually top five. Definitely top
yeah.
five.
To me, Fusion Reborn was the Dragon Ball Super Broly of like that time. It was
Mm.
peak art style. The Janemba was like disappearing into little cubes and dimension shifting, and it was so
I
cool,
think that
dude.
would have been cooler than Boo in some ways, man.
I think it was
Do
cooler
you
than
think
Boo
that
for
was kind of
sure.
like this is what I had in mind as well, but we ended up going in this direction, but this would have been if I wanted to, I don't know. There are similarities as far as fusion goes, and even like the villains being kind of like similar in certain ways. I don't know, just the way that their bodies are kind of like they can morph and do all this stuff. So,
It could have been, but
yeah.
I'll tell you, dude. Just there are a couple things about it that just make it perfect to me, and it's the fact that we got Gogeta, and it's like, oh shit, look at that one. It's
Yeah.
like that dude has he has a whole different
I
fit
like Gogeta better
too.
than Vegito.
I like Gogeta better than Go. I feel like everyone fucking does, and
Yeah.
but
I
he
don't.
pops out and he does that soul Punisher, dude.
Just
And
looks cooler.
Janemba punches him right in his face, and he just looks at him, dude.
Mm-hmm.
You
Oh,
know
it's
it's bad
nice.
when you charge full speed at a character and hit them right in the face, and they just look at you, dude.
Yeah,
That's
it's
some Eisen level shit, dude.
it's
That's
super
oh
clean.
boy. And then at the end of it, dude, fucking Goku and Vegeta actually have a nice moment.
I know, man. The movies are there's Dragon Ball I think is actually extremely lucky to have as many good movies as they do. Not every property does gets that opportunity. I mean, obviously there's some that are kind of mid. There's some that are actually not that good. I mean, the Bio Brawly, right? Stuff
Yeah,
like
but
that.
you know what it has the almost the exact same track record as
What?
Star Trek.
Sure, yeah, you could say that. Yeah,
Some of those Star Trek movies are actually still really good, like
Really,
Wrath
yeah.
of Khan, The Search for Spock. Some of them though. Ooh, no, you wouldn't want to watch those.
Like, why are we doing this? Yeah.
Exactly. But there's been so many that now there is a decent, like even some of those new Star Trek movies aren't so bad. So now
Yeah.
there's like a nice handful of Star Trek movies where you could watch like 6 of them and they'd all be good.
My favorite, for some reason, is BoJack Unbound.
You know what? That's like my third favorite.
Yeah,
So that's a good
BoJack's up there. I think it's just got the aesthetic, the cool, like Future Trunks is in there, Gohan.
one. Yeah.
Like that's kind of like, I don't know. I could definitely throw in Fusion Reborn. And let me ask you, out of these are some of the OGs, but out of these, which one is your favorite? Dead Zone, The World's Strongest, Tree of Might, and Lord Slug.
Immediately it's between Lord Slug and Tree of Might. Lord Slug's a good movie.
Yeah, it is.
But I think out of those, I think Tree of Might. I remember liking Tree of Might a lot, actually.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right.
Little did we know that they would pull out the, hey, this guy looks like Goku card several more
Yeah.
times, dude.
Yeah, right. And just last, because I know obviously Dragon Ball huge, and we both like obviously loved it, still do have, in our own ways to a certain degree, whatever parts of it, whatever characters, whatever, but what is your
Dude,
favorite?
we are the OGs at this point.
Exactly. Weirdly enough, it feels like
Yeah.
this is why this hits so hard too, man. Like it's, like I mentioned Stan Lee. It's just something that was introduced so early in life that has
Yeah,
somehow
for sure.
stayed relevant and stayed impactful in our lives as adults. But uh, just for just shits and giggles, what's your favorite Toriyama property that he's like worked on or done that's not Dragon Ball, like Dragon Quest or Chrono Trigger, or what's that, Sandland, stuff like that? Is there anything outside of Dragon Ball that you've connected with?
Yeah, man, it's Chrono Trigger for sure.
Dude, I've never played
Yeah.
Chrono Trigger, dude.
You never have? Oh, dude.
I know.
You got to get around to it, and then you can play Chrono Cross, which is the sequel.
This sounds very weird, but has
They're
it
both
aged
good,
well?
dude.
Like, should they just remake it? Is it hard to go
They
back to?
definitely could, and I think if they remade it and remade it well, they gotta obviously up the visuals. I don't know if they need to pull a Final Fantasy VII with it, because I feel like Frog Knight is only going to work so good in like hyper realism. It's a fucking frog, man.
I don't know,
That's,
man. Them Final Fantasy sevens, they're making money and games
I
off
know
of this
they're
one
making
thing.
money, but that's a different type of story. It's one thing when you turn and look at Tifa and she's hyper realistic, and you're like, you're as beautiful as the first day I ever laid eyes on you on PS1. You're everything I dreamed. There's a difference between that and then the camera panning to Frog Knight, who looks like a photorealistic frog staring at you, dude.
Well, hey, man, they
That
could
shit
go in a
won't
different
play as
direction,
well.
man. They could. There's always going to be those games that people throw out there that go, oh, they're so good, but then like going back, it just,
No, dude, Chrono Trigger. Because I played Chrono Trigger again in like 2011 or 2012 or something like that. It's a fantastic game, and it's one of those games where if you replayed it, you'd be like, "Holy shit!" I got a friend working his way through it right now, and I didn't put him onto it. He just happens to be,
yeah.
and it is still an amazing game, and it has like a Dragon Ball-esque feel to it, kinda. And because it's his art, dude, it just sort of has that essence,
Yeah.
And it's cool. It just feels like a Toriyama story. I don't know if he wrote it or not. He might not have.
Yeah.
But because the aesthetic is so much him, you just feel like you're playing like some type of Elseworld DBZ or something like that. Oh, and next to that, Blue Dragon, dude.
Yeah, Blue Dragon.
Yes, dude. Not enough
Yeah.
people talk about Blue Dragon. That shit was awesome.
Yeah, that's always, if people want to check that out, you can still get it on the Xbox store.
Can you?
Yeah, it's usually on sale. You can get it for like $4.99, dude. Yeah.
Oh, that's a
That
steal.
and Lost
That game was
Odyssey are
great,
two
dude.
games that get brought up a lot. Yeah.
Shot to my heart, dude. I love Lost Odyssey.
Yeah,
Fuck, I love that game.
Yeah, they're still a lot of people shit on Xbox, but one of the things that they've done well, and look, they struggle when it comes to having JRPGs, and they're trying to get cool with Capcom and maybe even Square, because they just need that. But back in the Blue Dragon's one of those ones that,
yes,
anytime you look up best JRPGs on Xbox as a platform,
dude, it was
that comes
so
up.
good.
Yeah.
And Lost Odyssey is the definition of a hidden gem. Holy shit, dude. Play Lost Odyssey.
I do. I got it. I got both of those. I got them hella cheap too. That's what I'm trying to tell people. If you ever
That's fucking awesome.
get curious enough, you can usually find them easily under $10, man.
Yeah. Lost Odyssey has some of the, and we talked about, now I write a lot for Ghost Planet, and Lost Odyssey has some of the most beautiful, thought-provoking, touching writing, and it's buried in that gem of a game. The little spoken journal entries you unlock are so fucking good. There's one where the main guy's immortal, and there's one where for a period of his life, he gets locked up in these orbs, these cells with all these other prisoners of war, and fucking every day they can only see slivers of light and shit like that. They never see the sun. And one guy's like, I'm gonna fucking do it. I'm gonna break out of here. I'm gonna break out of here. It's gonna be beautiful. And I think at one night he's gonna unalive himself or something. And the main character, Kime, is like, no, don't do it, brother. We'll get out of here. We'll get out of here. We'll see the sun again. I swear we will. And eventually the army they fought for comes and raids that prison camp. And they're all getting dragged out. And Kime is smart, he puts his hand over his eyes when they start opening up doors and stuff, but the other guy doesn't think about it. He's so eager to see the outside that he runs out there to behold it. And he goes blind on the spot because he hasn't seen light in years. Oh, and as he's sitting there with tears running down his face, he can't see anything. He's begging Kime to please describe it to me, brother. Please describe, what are you seeing? And Kime's just like, it's a beautiful morning. The green grass is flowing on into the distance. There's a wind rustling the trees. And he's like, was it worth it? Was it worth it? Tell me it was worth it. Tell me it's worth it out there. He's like, yes, brother, it's worth it. And that's just one of like 100 stories in that game.
Holy shit.
It is amazing,
awesome.
Beautiful writing, dude.
I gotta touch into it. I bought it when it was on sale one time, played a little bit, and then put it, but it was like, I'm gonna get it while I can, and then I'll stash it and I'll come back to it sometimes. So, even Dragon Quest, the latest Dragon Quest is a game that I've put in, I think, over 40 hours and still need to finish. And so, I've had my, I've given some of these other properties a chance, man. I feel like we've, man, this is a 3-hour special, bro. We have talked.
I kind of figured. I don't know about you, but it isn't the first time we've done this.
I don't know if people. I know I don't have an issue. There's certain podcasts that I actually look for the long ones. I'm like, yo, if it's long, that means they were really into whatever they were talking about or whatever. And I hope that when people see these longer episodes, that they enjoy them, give them a shot, find something somewhere in one of these that because I know we started out with some wrestling and got into some Dragon Ball stuff. But I mean, before we go, I just, I think we both share that, Akira Toriyama, had a large impact. And man, like we kind of alluded to, maybe there's a chance that some of the things that we ended up doing don't pan out the same way. They don't look the same way. Maybe they don't even happen. And I know that, a big reason why me and you connected was our shared passion through Toonami and anime, and Dragon Ball is a large part of that, man. So on one hand, who knows if we would have gotten to connect as well as we have,
exactly.
or, without this shared experience and passion for this story and these characters. And that guy
because
made
ask
it.
yourself, does Toonami take off without Dragon Ball?
Ooh, exactly, dude. I look, I mean, even having kids and being around kids, and I'm introducing the little boy of some different things like Pokemon, and he likes different animes and stuff like that. But I can't wait to show him Dragon Ball and stuff, and he knows about Dragon Ball and stuff. But it's also been interesting to just see what people gravitate towards, and he's like more into like Cartoon Network stuff, and I'm like, I think like our generation was like that too, because we were watching Toonami, and then Toonami rolled into Dexter's Lab and Powerpuff Girls and Courage the Cowardly Dog, and like you said,
but
Kids
Toonami
Next Door.
had the thing I don't know, because I mean, Dragon Ball is such a huge intellectual property. I mean, huge. I've said it,
billions
Goku's
of
an
dollars.
amazing day parade, dude. I mean, we've hit a level of cultural significance with Dragon Ball that borders on any Western property you could name. So but Toonami for us had a very real cool factor, because it was a show that was unlike. It was a frame show. It was a show within a show. It was a really cool setting. And trust me, man, I mean, come on, dude. Without Toonami, there'd be no Ghost Planet. I definitely wouldn't fucking be here. Because the only reason the idea for Ghost Planet sprung was, I mean, there were a lot of things, but one of the founding ideas was, so you remember how Toonami was like a guy on a ship, and he was watching the shows, and you always wondered what else is there? Like, where's that guy come from? What does he do? What's he look like under the helmet he wears? So many questions over the years. And eventually they started switching locales and doing extra shit. But I'll say, even to this day, Toonami has played it real close to the chest with the stuff Tom does, where he goes. They really have not expanded on that like that.
Yeah, it's definitely not the same. I mean, it's still there, and I think we're thankful for that. I think, we might take for granted how available anime can be to certain people and certain situations and stuff like that. And I think there'll always be a
Sure.
place for
But
like
but let me
shows like
ask you,
Tommy. Yeah.
now with Crunchyroll leaving, because it is, right? Isn't that
Well,
happening? Or is it Funimation?
Funimation got bought out by Crunchyroll, and so but everything's over there on Crunchyroll now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm getting my stories mixed up, I think. All right. So, but what I wonder is, anime is very mainstream at the moment. That's
Hmm.
fine. That's great. But as far as the shows we grew up with, like Dragon Ball Z, honestly, as sad as it is, I think Akira passing is one of the it is one, as far as getting a new generation of fans into his work, nothing does it like passing away, dude. You can get a
Yeah.
whole new generation into your shit when you go.
Yeah,
Like
that's true.
David Bowie's Black Star, there were a lot of people who never listened to David Bowie in their lives because they were like our age or they were Zoomers. But he puts out an album where he's talking about his death and then he dies, dude. There are a ton of people who got on with David Bowie right there. There were a ton of people who got on with Mac Miller.
Yeah, that's
When
true.
you find out that if you listen to those albums, it sounds like he knew that he was getting towards the end of his life. And listening back to them afterwards, there are some lyrics where he's like, "There's a lot more waiting for me on the other side, guys." And you're like, "Jeez, he was dead 2 months after he wrote this." God. And Akira passing is a terrible thing. We've lost a Walt Disney caliber talent. And I think his body of work and his success speaks to that level of fame. But him passing away means that even people who were only passingly aware of Dragon Ball are seeing it in their feeds. They're seeing tribute pictures, they're seeing clips and shorts. And I think that may honestly succeed in getting a lot of people who maybe knew about Dragon Ball but weren't invested in it to check it out. And
Yeah.
I mean, because today, these kids today, they don't have Toonami. I don't think. I don't think there's anything like that, is there?
Well, other than Toonami, that's it. Like Toonami comes on once a week, late at night. I mean, they're gonna run a
Yeah,
marathon this
yeah, for
Saturday,
sure.
but I understand what you're saying. There's nothing quite like that experience
Yeah,
in that
because
presentation. Yeah,
Toonami's ratings aren't what they were when we watched it.
absolutely not. No,
No,
can't be.
I
I
I
don't know that
remember
for
when I was
sure, but
still.
I could only assume. Like,
I remember when the day, yeah, and you remember the days I think when I was still live tweeting with everybody on
yeah,
Saturday
that's
nights,
right.
right? I was watching the ratings during those days. They're not what they were when we watched.
Yeah.
Maybe they are today.
No,
I
that's
kind of doubt that.
no, I completely believe it, dude. Like it's definitely not the same. I mean, people don't ingest that or digest that kind of content the same way.
Right.
Like
And the
it's
way
like
it breaks down is, I remember now they would post the ratings on Reddit, and I would peruse them each week and try to talk about them on the show. And I mean, with Toonami, because you got a lot of different animes, they lose a couple 100,000 people between those shows, depending on what it was.
yeah.
And you'd see, and you'd know it was a specific show because when Super was airing, for example, if Shippuden came on before it, oh boy, you're gonna lose. Like if a new Samurai Jack episode came on and did 900K, and Shippuden came on next, you're gonna lose like 150,000 people. And
Wow.
when Super comes back on, you're going to gain 250.
So it
But
is
then it
roller coaster.
dropped. It's a roller coaster, but then it's going to drop to 800K, steadily going down by 100K for everything else on the broadcast until it ends. So
Mm,
it's not what it was when we watched. It doesn't
no.
have that type of mainstream appeal, but maybe Crunchyroll and Funimation is that.
Yeah.
I don't
It
know.
definitely is. I mean, it's like I mean, there's stuff I watch on there. We have Crunchyroll here, but one of the big things that we become more focused on, me and my girlfriend, just living together, looking at things like media and our media consumption, and both like an anime and different things, is also like just we still, we're close in age. I'm a couple years older than her, but we, prioritize this idea of like if you really means a lot to you, get physical media. Like make sure to have a way to keep that,
Yeah,
but that's
honestly, dude.
it's expensive though sometimes. And right now, unfortunately, and I don't know what your opinion on this is, but there's really not a cheap, definite way to watch Dragon Ball. Like I've heard
Dude,
so many.
there isn't a cheap, definite way to watch fucking anything anymore.
No, but like if you go on Amazon right now, there's like the Amazon exclusive Blu-ray of the series, but I've heard people have had issues with that. People have issues and preferences as far as the orange bricks. I think that's what you're talking about. When you're talking about the orange bricks earlier, were you talking about like the DVDs or the
I'm talking about the orange VHS tapes.
Oh shit. Okay. Well,
which is a very classic run that you would have to. I don't know who has their hands on those now.
But you know what I'm saying? Like that sucks to me. Like that there's not a really nice, definite way to get the all the music or the audio or the the quality of everything. Like so, that's a shame that this big property doesn't have. Like I guess just go on Crunchyroll. But I think it's important to, with the way streaming is, and that's its own whole conversation. We don't even need to get into that tonight, and we've already gone on. But I'm just saying, like that can be frustrating. But I also believe that, hey, man, when you were watching it every day after school, you got to see 5 episodes a week, But if you're doing one block a week in one episode, and you're watching these 20-minute episodes that are like 30 minutes with ads and stuff, that's not enough, dude. That is, and especially if I tell you, hey, you want to know what's going to happen next? Just get Crunchyroll. It's like $9.99 a month, and you can watch as much as you want. It's like, I guess, just hard. Like, where is there a place for something like that? But,
dude, I'm fucking sick of streaming.
I know, me too, dude.
It's crazy. Like, we were in all, and we said it ourselves years ago. I remember us talking about it. Oh, everyone's cutting the cord. Everyone's getting out of cable. It's just as fucking bad streaming now. You have ads fucking everywhere. Even when you pay, sometimes you'll still get ads. And even if you do pay, there are so many different services that it's unlikely that just one of them fulfills all the fucking shows you want to see. You probably need at least 2 or 3 of them to get all the shit you want. Maybe Netflix or Peacock or fucking Hulu or Disney Plus. There's shit on all of it, dude. And by the time you get like 2 or 3 of them, you're not quite hitting a cable bill, okay? Because I kept cable when I was still reviewing WWE, and that lasted at least up until the pandemic. So it hasn't been that long ago since I was paying for cable. Streaming doesn't quite reach how much a monthly cable bill does. Not quite, but it's getting there, man.
Yeah.
And the fact that fucking if you want to watch an episode of The Office, it's like, oh well, it's on UK Netflix, but it's not on regular Netflix.
Yeah, it's on Peacock.
It's on fucking Peacock, which is $4.99 a month, and so you get fucking Peacock. Ugh. And you're like, well, what else am I going to watch on this? And the answer is nothing.
Oh,
there's nothing else you're going to watch.
Well, Peacock. The only reason why we fuck with Peacock, this is how bad it's gotten for me. Real quick, Peacock for WWE. That's all. That's the only reason.
That's about to change too.
Yeah, that well, only for Monday Night Raw. At least at this moment, Raw's going
again. That's literally my point.
And they're raising their prices. Netflix is.
And they're raising it. So. Oh, what's that? You want to keep up with WWE? Well, you're buying Peacock and Netflix now.
Yeah, I can't do it. And then we have Paramount Plus for Halo. Halo season 2 is really good.
And there you fucking go, dude.
And
it just never fucking ends. You have to have Max if you want to see the good shit, like The Sopranos and The Wire and Peacemaker and fucking.
Yep. All the DC
and by
shit.
that point, dude, you've got like 4 or 5 different ones.
Yeah, you're spending over $50 easy.
You're spending over $50 easy, and sometimes the one of them you carry will drop a fucking show, and you're like, well, where's it going? Nobody knows.
Yeah.
what? Damn it! What do you mean?
What are y'all doing? Yeah. Oh yeah. Especially Warner Brothers has gotten pretty bad about that.
Yeah, for sure.
Max is they're weird because they have like freaking 90 Day Fiance next to like Aquaman, and you're just like, what? These brands don't mix.
So weird. I'll be honest. When Max first came out, the lineup was pretty strong.
Yeah, it's because HBO and HBO was cool.
They had all the HBO shit, which like I mean, that stuff's a hard sell with the younger generation. They're gonna have to. It's going to be a while before they're watching Tony Sopranos and shit.
FX is the new HBO, dude. That was Shogun and The Bear and some of the stuff that they're putting out, dude. I don't know.
You're telling me FX has an app now?
No, they're on Hulu.
Oh, they're on Hulu. Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
yeah. But like the quality of television, like
Yeah.
AMC was doing stuff. Was it AMC? Yeah, AMC had The Walking Dead and shit. They were doing pretty good
Oh
there for a minute.
God, yeah. And you know what? I actually, and I haven't decided yet. Part of me wants to get back into The Walking Dead,
Really?
just because there was a time in my life where I thought, I mean, there was a time everyone thought it was the best show on
Yeah,
fucking
yeah,
TV, dude.
yeah.
And I remember those days, and I kind of miss them. I'm a
You're
little nostalgic
nostalgic.
for the series.
Well,
Yeah.
tell me what it's like, man.
Some of that new stuff looks fucking awful, man.
Yeah, they're just trying to keep it alive until they get something to replace it, man. And they haven't really got that yet, so they're just holding on.
I know. And most of my favorite characters are dead. They
Well,
died long ago.
I think it just would be sad, but look, man,
Oh, I was.
I I I gotta say, dude, we're about to reach the 3 hour mark, and I think this is where we'll call it. But I gotta say, dude, like these conversations are some of the most fun I have doing the podcast, dude. And I appreciate you doing this. I know this was actually kind of short notice, and but I wanted you to have you on and just to talk. I know at first I was like, well, we'll just focus on Akira Toriyama and stuff like that, but then it just like, we get to talk about so much more, and it all connects. I feel like all those things.
It does, I think.
If you like
It
Dragon
all
Ball Z, you
connects,
might
yeah.
even like wrestling. I don't know, vice versa. It's just
Well,
interesting.
what I think it is, and dude, I got podcasts I listen to where some of the best episodes just two friends catching up, and
Yeah.
that's usually what it is when we
Yeah,
talk.
exactly, man. That's why I have such a good time, man. It feels like it just flows, and I can feel like
Yeah.
the no limitations really just throw whatever out there, and we can just get
We should
into
do a
it.
WrestleMania episode.
Oh
That would
my
probably be
god, that'd
that'd
be
probably be a
dude.
good one.
I'll get a couple. There's a couple other people
I'm saying like it wouldn't hurt to have a handful of
that
people
would be
doing it.
fun. I'd
And with all
love
the
to.
different perspectives, I bet you that one does
Yeah.
great for everybody involved.
It's gonna be fun, dude. If you find yourself watching those shows, text me, man. Between me and my girlfriend, like that's about the only other people that I really get to geek out about this wrestling stuff right now, and I'm trying to expand.
You're gonna see. I will do that. I welcome you to do that because you're gonna watch them before I do. I'll catch up with SmackDown on
Sure.
Saturday morning.
Perfect.
I'll do
dude.
shit like that.
Yeah, man. Well, look, man, it's always a pleasure, dude. I always have such a good time talking to you, man. I'm so proud of the things that you're doing, man. I'm so happy for the success you're having over there with your platform and everything, man. And it's just always such a good time. And if you want to, we can wrap this up with you just letting people know, where to find you and how to, get in touch with the Ghost Planet and be a part of that. We'll call it here, man, and we'll save up. We got what, 4 weeks until WrestleMania?
Yeah, we're on the road, as they
we're on
say.
the road to WrestleMania. So yeah,
Everyone's pointing at the fucking sign.
yeah, which I didn't know if that was an actual sign until like a couple nights ago. I thought how they do those little overlays and stuff at the entrance. Yeah, I was like, do they just have some? No, they gotta be pointing to something. Yeah, so
You know what's hilarious is I remember when they started doing those overlays, and I remember hearing they were gonna be doing some new visual stuff. And then at one point, like Roman Reigns walked out and like a giant Yu-Gi-Oh summon Roman Reigns popped up and like did a thing, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on?"
It's really cool, but I got so used to them that in the game they don't have them. I'm like, oh shit. I was like,
where's my
where are these
you're like,
swords
where's
for
my
Drew
Final Fantasy
McIntyre?
summon?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Drew McIntyre sword.
Drew McIntyre. Oh god. See, we're gonna get into it. So, anyways, Kenny, where can people find you and enjoy the stuff that you make, man?
So I run the Ghost Planet platform. At this point, please don't sue me, CN, but we've been called an indie tsunami, and that sort of does sum up what the platform is. Over on Facebook, and I know most people hear that they go Facebook, and it's like, I wouldn't turn your nose up at it. I got the analytics. 3/4 of people are on fucking Facebook still. It's like your little nephew may not be on it, but everyone fucking else still is, no matter what they tell you. I've seen the numbers. But anyway, we got a page over there where we trade really heavily in nostalgia, and it's a little more than just memes. It's a lot of memes and screen caps taken from episodes of all of our favorite shows. Like on Fridays, we'll post stuff from Cartoon Fridays, like Powerpuff Girls, Billy and Mandy, Dexter's Lab. And I work really hard to try not to do what I call reruns. So a lot of that stuff is going to be fresh and new often. It'll be new clips, new memes from the old stuff we like. So, if you were around 20 years ago and you enjoyed a lot of 2000s media, if you watched a lot of Cartoon Network and CN and stuff from back then, Ghost Planet on Facebook is an homage to all of that. It routinely is posting content from those old shows. So if you want a feed of that nostalgic stuff, you want a drip feed of that right into the old arm, you just look up Ghost Planet on Facebook, Ghost Planet Studios, and you'll find us. If you're only following one Facebook page, you should make it Ghost Planet. You'll definitely enjoy it. Not only that, but and we're working on getting this in other places, but these very large e-novels are released there, with art and everything, which are the lore and backstory of the planet. That's usually a hard sell, but I don't know. Some people think it's really cool and they really follow it and they love the characters and they're pushing us to make comics and all this other stuff. So these could be the early days of that. We could be the next Invincible. We got people who like what we're doing, and you never know. So I recommend you, check us out on Facebook. If you want to listen to stuff, we're on Spotify at Ghost Planet Studios on Spotify. We've got a big music playlist that's got like 60, 70 likes, something like that everyone contributes to. So we've got music. Just look Ghost Planet up. And if you see that GP, that golden planet with the GP, you know it's us. So hope you take a look and enjoy what you find.
Damn, dude. Classic episode. Appreciate you, man. Rest in peace, Akira Toriyama. And yeah, man, until the next time we get to talk, dude.
Wonder Soul.